Please enter your agent number now, followed by the #2.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question story. This code has been compromised.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Wednesday, July 31st, 2019. This is Truth Frequency Radio. I'm Zachary K. Hubbard with the Gematria Effect. On every Wednesday night, the website is tfrlive.com or live streaming at youtube.com. Find the channel Gematria Effect News. And if you never listened before, we're a caller-friendly program. It's a caller-driven show. We take calls all night. We'll start in just moments. If you want to phone in tonight, it's always nice to hear new voices. We got our regular callers who call almost every week, but always love to hear new callers. The number is 213-233-3998, 213-233-3998. Heard the news just as we were entering the show that theater man Hal Prince, who's remembered for Sweeney Todd, died. And few thoughts came to mind right away, so I just had to plug in the name and see if anything else popped out. So today, July 31st, 2019, the date numerology today is 7 plus 31 plus 20 plus 19, which is 77. And of course, you can break it down from there. 77 can become 7 plus 7 is 14. 1 plus 4 can become 5. But if you just stop at the 77, the word theater equals 77. So a man known in the world of theater, he's dead. First thing that stands out about the story. And then the other thing is he's died July 31st, 317. The number 317 is the 66th prime number. I just plugged in the name Harold Prince into the Gematria calculator, and I see right away that Harold Prince sums to 66. So I say, what a fitting date for him to go. And, you know, I just heard the news all but 2 minutes ago, so I'm sure there's a whole lot more to it. But so often these deaths that make the news headlines, whether the person's in their 20s or 91 years old in the case of Hal Prince, you just see how appropriate the date is for the reported passing or the day of the death. And reportedly, he did die today. Again, if you're new here, look at the movie poster for the film Murder by Numbers. Look up, if you're in front of a screen and you could do a little web search while you listen along, look up movie poster Murder by Numbers and look at how the E in murder is changed to a 3, and look at how the B in by and the B in numbers are changed to 8s. No other letters are tampered with. So the 3 replaced the E, the 8 replaced the B. The word murder in Gematria sums to 38 and 83. And again, there's also the song Murder by Numbers, which came out in 1983, which is about how killing people is the sport of the elite. And it's as simple as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. You also have the band Slipknot with the song Gematria, the killing name. So that's one of many reasons to understand this code. People literally are being murdered by this code more often than most people would ever imagine. Every day, you know, the government is performing rituals. The latest you know, federal news is no doubt by this code of Gematria. Gematria comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah is, you know, the language of the elite. It's where the term the Cabal comes from. In Kabbalah's Book of Formation, it's stated that God created the world by merging the letter with the number with the word. It's how all of this gains relevance. But everything from politics, daily news headlines, mass shootings in the headlines are always by the numbers. You know, there's a chance the shooting in your local news isn't, but anytime you get these big headlines, you know, Brooklyn, the other night, Saturday night, the breaking news was that there was a mass shooting in Brooklyn. Then Sunday evening, you have a mass shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. And then the next day, you have a mass shooting at Walmart. And please do check out the videos I put out on my YouTube channel, Gematria Effect News, on all three of those incidents. They're all encoded with the exact same numbers, which connect to the word shooting, which is a number that shows up again and again and again. So this language used for so many things. And as people who know, who follow me on my Patreon sports page, it's also used to make money because the world of sports is rigged this way. And we've absolutely been dominating the world of PGA golf. You know, PGA golf pays big odds, and it's amazing how fixed these tournaments are. So this is knowledge you definitely want to know and you definitely don't want to sleep on. And been proving that for 6 years straight now. So that said, let's go out to the colors. The line's not too long yet. And our resident movie buff is up first, the man in Philadelphia. So, Philadelphia, you got the floor.
Hey, Zach, how are you?
Doing all right. How are you, friend?
Oh, I'm doing good. Anyway, I caught some possible August 11th predictive programming from back in 1997. It was from a wrestling organization called WCW, which at the time was the chief competitor to WWE.
Right.
And the main event for a pay-per-view that was taking place was with Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper, and the pay-per-view was going to be in San Francisco. Okay, and the announcer that was promoting it said, "Talk about an earthquake in San Francisco. The buildings and the whole state are going to be shaking."
Huh.
And the tagline for the pay-per-view was "The big one will hit San Fran."
Huh.
And the date the pay-per-view took place was February 23rd.
Okay. 223. Like, okay. And what year was this again?
Okay, this was so you could look it up. It was Super Brawl 7 in Roman numerals.
Okay, WCW Super Brawl 7.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, what's interesting about Hulk Hogan is August 11th is actually his birthday, and this year that's the event SummerSlam. SummerSlam happens to have the same gematria as Tisha B'Av, which is what falls on August 11th this year. So February 23rd, 1997. Huh, that was a date with 141 numerology. 811 is the 141st prime. Like August 11th is 811. Huh, that's wild. You know what else? San Francisco, California equals 141. So what a perfect day for them to have that slogan about San Francisco. Wild.
Yeah, right.
Super Brawl 7. Well, we've seen the predictive programming with wrestling before. Again, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, 1989, taking on the Twin Towers, and that rhetoric they said about how they won't stop until the Twin Towers come crumbling down, and then they do that sinister laugh. For anybody who's never seen that clip before from the 1989 wrestling event between Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and the Twin Towers, you got to go watch that clip. It's undeniable what they were communicating. So,
yeah. And also one more thing about it. In the week prior to the pay-per-view, Roddy Piper was training for the main event at Alcatraz.
Which was established on the date August 11th. And you know what else trips me out? I just pulled up that event. It was held at the place they called the Cow Palace. The Cow Palace. Remember, this whole thing started with the article circulating last year on the anniversary of September 11th about the red heifer, the red cow being born. Wow. Yeah, the Cow Palace. Crazy. Huh. Well, Gary, very good find, friend. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
No, that's it for tonight, this week.
All right. Great work. You have a good evening.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Too.
All right. Until next time.
Night.
All right. Pinehurst, Texas. How are you?
What's up, Zach?
Another day in paradise, man. What's going on?
How you doing?
Well, I'm a little bit tired.
I'm just on this 811 watch.
Okay.
And looking for new connections in that area. But did you cover Grant Thompson's death, the YouTuber?
Well, I did a blog post on it yesterday when somebody notified me, and I noticed his channel name, which I believe is the King of Random, if I'm remembering it right. I'd never heard of this guy before yesterday, but apparently a lot of people. Yeah, he had 11 million subscribers, so apparently he was popular. But the King of Random, the King of Random equals 74, and he uploaded his last video 3 days ago on a date with 74 numerology. So that was his last ever video, and I think that's interesting. Of course, we know about 74 and what it symbolizes, and it seemed like all was well with him based on his last upload. I mean, it didn't look like he was just hanging on the cusp. So
a couple data points. He was a airline pilot. I don't know if he was a commercial airline pilot. That wasn't made clear. But he went paragliding, and that was his demise. But he was also died at the ripe old age of 38.
Ah, okay. So there's more information out. So yesterday when I looked at this, there wasn't the cause of death wasn't out. So he died paragliding. Okay.
Okay, what guy with 4 kids paraglides by himself?
Well, hard to say. It does sound suspect, but yeah, that stands out right away that he was 38 years old. Death, murder, killing, RIP, all 38. We were just talking about that a moment ago. So,
right. So, and Variety picked it up. A couple of other major magazines picked it up. So it had a lot of notoriety. His total view count was up to around 2 billion. So he was, even though I didn't know him, I mean, it's like I don't know a lot of these famous YouTubers, but his demise seemed to be very significant and to touch up a number of flags.
Sure. Let me make sure I spelled paragliding right here, because if I did, the numbers on it pop out in a big way. Yeah, it looks like this is how you spell it. I got it right. So paragliding has gematria, just like sacrifice and kill. So
yeah, he's definitely coded. There's no question about it. But how and to what depth? Leave it up to your genius to lead us.
Sure. So yeah, yesterday when I looked at it before any information was put out, just that he was dead, it just stood out to me that his last video was uploaded on a 74 date numerology, and his channel name equaled 74, as infamous as that number is. So. Yeah, I also got kind of depressed just taking out for a moment. I mean, it's sad that somebody might have been killed, but I was also like, God, this is what people want to watch. I mean, his last video was, can you float on rice cakes in a hot tub? I'm just like, this is what people are into, huh? So.
Yeah, he was like that guy on TBS, but he had it on a YouTube, and it's like the second YouTube guy to go thy way.
I think more than 2, actually. There's been a number of YouTube-related deaths in the last month. I'd say there's probably been at least 5. So.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been quite a few. Just go on my blog and type in YouTuber. It's been the mainstream media has been full of YouTube-related headlines too. Besides just deaths, there's also been other stories like the YouTuber who bought that Hell, Michigan, and turned it into Gay Hell. And then there was also apparently the other day, there's a 6-year-old Korean girl who just bought an $8 million property off of her YouTube money. I'm like, really? A 6-year-old girl on YouTube already has that kind of money? That doesn't sound right. And another story I remember a few months back was some YouTuber got his own type of drink. It was called, and the flavor was Mama something, and then his mom supposedly died. So yeah, there's been a lot of deaths related to YouTube in recent times.
Yeah, I'm looking at YouTube differently these days, more of a social engineering programming platform, which is why they want to push people off like you and other people who are actually delineating real truth on a particular subject.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but I happen to agree with you that just because 8/11 is rolling around the corner doesn't mean something significant is going to happen that particular day. It's all in the matter of the coding. And to be honest with you, I think something will happen around 8/15.
Well, that's the Jesuit formation date. So yeah, that's definitely an infamous date too. Yeah.
Yeah. It also goes to the big one. So
right. Yeah, you're right about that.
Anyway, that's all I got to add, right, my friend.
All right. Appreciate it. You have a good one.
All right. Take care.
So I did a video this week. I think it was a live stream, and I just went over all of the August 11th information, and I showed how that's definitely been a central date this year that so many events have been synced up with. Again, it's Tisha B'Av, the day of tragedy in the Jewish faith. It's the day of sacrifice in the Muslim faith, and it's also during the time of the Hajj, the Muslim pilgrimage. And just like I said, September 2018, I said, just remember that date and just watch how the news stories in the coming year will be synced with August 11th. That's what I said last September. It's been absolutely true. It's not an accident that on the Ides of March, another date that I said to circle months in advance, we got the shooting at the 2 mosques in Christchurch that were both in the address area code 8011, like 811. 2 mosques, Tisha B'Av, to remember the destruction of the 2 temples. And think about how that happened on the Ides of March, which is related to Caesar Augustus, which the month of August is named after. And the second destruction of the temples was blamed on the Romans. The first on the Babylonians, the second on the Romans for another, somewhat Caesar-related angle. And then the other major story that's been clearly synced up with August 11th this year was the burning of Notre Dame and Al-Aqsa Mosque on the exact same day, April 15th, exactly 118 days before August 11th. Al-Aqsa Mosque is right in Jerusalem, where the primary site is that we're watching for August 11th. And what connects Notre Dame and Al-Aqsa Mosque is, again, the Knights Templar. The leader of the Knights Templar was burned at the stake on Friday the 13th in front of Notre Dame. And the Knights Templar during the Crusades used Al-Aqsa Mosque as their headquarters, and they referred to it as Solomon's Temple, which was the first temple destroyed, which connects to Tisha B'Av. So because they're syncing up major events with that date, that also means that probably through the rest of the year, even after August 11th passes, they'll continue to sync up their ritualistic propaganda with that date. That's what they do every single year. And again, to remind people, September 11th, 911, the destruction of the 2 towers in Jewish Gematria, Tisha B'Av equals 911. The towers didn't come down on Tisha B'Av. They came down 44 days after Tisha B'Av. 44, that number that connects to military and killing and destruction. So 9/11 was very much a Tisha B'Av related ritual, but it wasn't on the day of Tisha B'Av. It was synced up with it. So that said, let's go out to the next caller, and that is New York City. New York? New York, you should be on the line. I don't hear you. Maybe New York's just listening. New York, if you're speaking right now, I apologize, but I cannot hear your voice, so I'm going to move on. And our good friend from New York City, another New York caller. How are you?
Good, brother. How you making out today?
I'm ready for a nap, to be perfectly honest, but other than that, I'm good.
I know you're working hard, brother. Yeah, my buddy Big D, he's working too, man. His girl coming to town this coming week, so he's not gonna be available. So I'm missing my better half. But real quick, just want to make sure you're okay. I know you had a rough go at it. I heard your place was vandalized by these criminal people that run the show. Sorry
It
to hear
was.
that, bro.
It was. So wasn't as bad as the car going through the house, though.
It was just as bad as the car going through your house?
No, it wasn't nearly as bad as that. So I just hope it doesn't get worse. But yeah.
I'm praying for your safety, brother, whatever that's worth, because I'll tell you what, you're a dangerous man to these people. And that leads me into my quote by H.L. Mencken. The most dangerous man to any government is a man who's able to think things out for himself, without regard to the prevailing superstitions and taboos, and almost inevitably comes to the conclusion that the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable. H.L. Mencken. Any thoughts on that quote, my friend? Does that remind you of yourself?
Sure. I'd actually never heard that quote before. I like it. Yeah.
You want me to give it to you one more time, or you got it?
You can say it again. H.L. Mencken. I remember the name, but yeah, let's hear it one more time.
The most dangerous man to any government is a man who's able to think things out for himself, without regard to the prevailing superstitions and taboos, and almost invariably comes to the conclusion the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable. You see, my friend, you're like a big nail that's sticking out of the wood. And these son of a bees, that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to get this cut, they're going to come after you, especially if this date hits that we've been looking at. Just like there was an axe attack at 811 Flushing Avenue in lovely Bushwick housing, you know, and the apartment was 8J. Come on, 810. T. Shabab, my friends.
That's a great observation. Yeah, that's a great observation there.
It's incredible, Zach, and it's only because of your teaching ability. You taught so many of us to be able to see what's going on. You know, I pray for your safety, brother. I pray that you get some rest, because I know you've been working hard, and I know that you've been battling with headaches. And look, you are like H.L. Mencken, man. You're a brilliant man, and it's amazing what you've done, and it's plain for most people to see that have eyes to see. But the problem is most people are what I call dumb, stupid, and moronic, DSM. They're also blind. You know, the protocols, learned elders of Zion, they had their plan. You know, there was a place and agents everywhere and helpers. Those are the sayings that I tried to teach us about. You know, they take control of the media. They start fights between the different races and classes and religions. They use briberies and threats and blackmail to get their way. They use Freemason lodges to attract potential public officials. They appeal to successful people's ego. You know, they give the long interest-bearing loans to the government. This is a criminal enterprise. And what we have to do is not let it disturb our peace too much, try to work within it or work actually out of the box, you know. And I was listening with my wife, your 2020 election type of reform. They says, hey, that guy should run for president. I'm like, honey, they'd never let him get any close to that office. They'd shut him down in an instant. I want to thank you for everything you've done on behalf of this community, because your work is incredible, Zach, my friend. I got a little interesting thing, and I got to give credit where credit's due. That wonderful website that you linked to, Decoding Satan. She posted something on Monday, July 29th. And it's, if you take from August 11th, the date we're looking at, 2019, and you subtract 911 months, what you come up with is September 11th, 1943. It's amazing. The riddles that you find and the people that you have led and shown the way. She's also has an unbelievable article I wanted to go to real quickly. Let me pull it up. It was about how the date, give me a second. Here it is. On Monday, July 29th, she did something with 311. And she says here that August 11th, 2019, Tisha B'Av and the Feast of Sacrifice is connected to November 3rd, 2019, which is also written 311 or 113, which is the number of dishonesty, BS, and all that. And she wrote, watch out for the false flags of the ops in Seattle, because they're heavily coded in the movies over the last 40 years. Just amazing. Get a chance, take a look at that great work, Zach.
Appreciate it, friend.
Appreciate all you've done.
Good timing, man. The commercial just kicked in. Thank you so much, caller. I always appreciate you, man. Okay, we're on that short commercial break. For those of you listening on the phone, I know you hear my voice and the ads. Apologies, but I have been interacting with the chat on YouTube during the break. Somebody points out August 11th, the 33rd week of the year. We know who likes that number. Let's see. Jeremy says there was a Super Bowl sacrifice today. Miami Dolphins player Nick B, we'll call him. How do you say that name? Boone County. Let's take a look at that. Simple Truth TV series talking about the story about the dead twins in New York City on New York's birthday. A year ago on that day, we got the story of the last victim from September 11th finally identified. This year, we get a story of twins, like the Twin Towers. They said that father was 39 years old, like how New York equals 39, like how NY equals 39, like how everything about that state's history is 39, and that city. Somebody says, hit the like button. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, Robin Williams. That's true. Robin Williams was a Bay Area comic as well. Had the caller months ago point out that the area just off the Bay Bridge is named after Robin Williams. And again, the patent date for to begin construction on the Golden Gate Bridge is also August 11th in history. Or not the patent date, but the license date to begin construction. The patent date for harps on August 11th. So. I didn't see the stock market numbers today. Let me see. On mine, it says it's down negative 333.75. That's what I see here on my little thing. Huh. That's interesting, Jeremy. I'll have to check that out. I appreciate it. All right, we're coming back from the commercial here. All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. We got 2.5 hours left. We're taking your calls the rest of the way. If you do want to phone in tonight, it's better to call early than later and be patient. The number is 213-233-3998. 213-233-3998. Let's go out to New York City. 3 New York callers in a row.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello there, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for calling.
Listen, good to talk to you. You know, the thing about what you've been doing is amazing, Zach. That's the first thing I want to tell you, like, you know, for the point that the other caller has made. It's one unbelievable, the work that you're exposing. It's like mind blowing.
Thank you.
You hear me, right?
I do hear you loud and clear. You're perfect.
Yeah, so it's unbelievable, Zach. So I have a couple of points that I want to discuss with you. The first thing is, right, like, what you're doing is, like, once again, I'm constantly shocked. I live here here in New York. I'm an artist, and I came across yours, and I was looking at some truth channels, and then I came across yours, and I've been following you for about 2 years now, right? And it's like unbelievable to me every day as I go along with this, and this is the most important knowledge ever. So my thing about this is all truthers on YouTube, they cannot ignore this, because I see the other truthers talk about different things, you know, and some of them are interesting or whatever, but they cannot ignore the underlying gematria that you're talking about, because that is in every issue that every truther discusses, you know? So if you're discussing something and then you're ignoring the gematria part of it, it's not a complete discussion. So my thing that I would tell all truthers is to include the gematria into whatever they're looking at, you know, so that they can then do a complete assessment, because this is dynamite. That's the first thing, Zach. So, you know, congratulations to you. It's amazing that how you came across this. I mean, it's got to be some sort of a divinely led thing that happened, you know, like God wanted you to find this truth and expose it, you know. That's definitely the point that I want to make first of all. Okay, now here's the second thing, Zach. Now that I've said that part of it, the second thing I want to talk about is how much do you think that these participants are actually aware of what's happening to them? For example, like with the president, if he's selecting 88 senators on a day when there's the numerology reads 88, is he aware of that? That he's like, oh, today is 88 numerology, so I'm going to select 88? Or is he just being told by somebody to pick 88 senators? That's the thing I want to discuss. And in that connection, I want to give you one example of Tim Tebow, right? And it's on YouTube. You can check that. In one of the speeches that he's giving in a church, Tim Tebow says this. It's a very strange thing. It's awesome. He says that one day he did his thing on the field, you know, on the football field, and he was coming back, and one of his assistants, one of his friends came and told him, "Listen, do you know that everything you did today was 316? You know, you did a 316. I mean, I'm not telling you exactly what it is, but you know what I'm talking about. Everything he did on the field was 316. He hit 316 once. And then he says, finally, listen, the stock market went up 316 points or whatever. So this guy goes like, really? I'm shocked. You know, I had no idea. So it seems to me like, how is it that they're able to make these players do all this, and the players are not aware of it too? It seems to me like from what Tim Tebow said. So I'll let you respond to this before I go to one more point.
Sure. So to me, it seems like the president and Tim Tebow, they are essentially pieces on the chessboard, but they're not the ones making the move. So like last year when Barack Obama came out and endorsed 88 candidates on August 8th, 8/8, and every other headline that day, every news story was 88 encoded, which we covered last August 8th. I don't think it was actually Obama who said, you know, I'm going to count out 88 candidates. I think he's taking orders. You know, like I've always said, these presidents are puppets, and same with these athletes. And the way they get the stat,
I can't believe they're awakened like you are. I can't believe that they are awakened like you are. Like I can't believe that you know, Donald Trump like knows numerology like she does, like you do. You know.
Well, it's possible. I mean, he's been exposed to it longer than I have. I mean, he got a plaque for Kabbalah in 1983. That was the year I was born. So, I mean, he's had every opportunity.
No kidding. Right.
But about Tim Tebow and the stats, so those types of rituals, it's actually amazing how often they happen in sports. But the Tim Tebow one's really notable, and a lot of people know about that because he was Mr. Jesus Christ. And, of course, there's John 3:16 in the Bible. And maybe people don't realize, but if you get the Hebrew Gematria value of Jesus Christ, it sums to 3:16. So anyway, there's so often these amazing sports rituals. And even though we can decode them and see them, it's still like, how are they pulling this off? How are you passing for 316 yards? And how are you scoring your touchdown at 3 minutes and 16 seconds into the game? Or just the way these things line up when they happen. And when you actually do go back and look at it, you realize that there is some manipulation in the way they record the yardage. So if it's all planned for it to be a giant 3:16 rehearsal, you know, if they score and it's actually a second off the ticker, well, they can still score it that way because that's the way it was written. So if they're performing a script like a theater performance, even if it's just slightly off, they can still fudge the numbers so it gets all reported right in the headlines and in the record books. And I think that's a bit of what we see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And another point I want to mention was that if you ever catch the live performance that was done by Sting, right, and he sings the song "Murder by Numbers," and it's amazing, in which he actually begins by saying that, listen, this is what he says. He says, listen, Satan made me write this song, and then he goes. This is Beelzebub, and this is the other guy. You know, he names all the four assistants of Satan. The names, I forget what they are. And then he goes, no, I'm just kidding. I wrote the song, right? And this song is going to expose the elites that are like taking the masses on a ride, right? And then he begins to sing the song. So the guy is clearly explaining openly and telling us like what the song is all about. You should check that out, like live performance of Sting with lyrics, you know, and it's very clear. You just can't deny it. Like it was all organic. Then the thing that's shocking is, what is the Murder by Numbers poster with 8 and 3, which you keep reminding everybody all the time? That is unbelievable to me. Like if it was all organic, like if it was all coincidental and somebody would go organic, right? Everything is organic. Correct. I think there is definitely the organic part of it, but the minute you see the poster with 83 on it, and then you see the song, Murder by Numbers, there's no denying that somebody is aware of this. And they're manipulating. It's openly clear, right? So it's like unbelievable, Zach. That's the other thing I want to mention to you. And the final 2 points that I want to ask you is this. One is that there is, I read something written by Aleister Crowley, right? In which he talks about synchronicity. That is a big thing in one of his rituals, the magical rituals. It's all about synchronicity, doing it at a certain time on a certain day that matches with certain thing, and, you know, including his sexual things where he coincides with a certain point. It's amazing that those kinds of things are reflected in what's happening with our everyday media events that are happening. It's unbelievable. That's another thing you might want to think about.
And to tie your two last thoughts together, the song "Murder by Numbers" is on the album called Synchronicity. And
exactly.
Did you see the short video I posted this year on April 4th of 2019 about synchronicity?
Yeah.
It's one of the weirdest.
Yes, I did.
What I didn't realize though when I posted that video, there's a comment in that video that blew my mind.
Right.
So for people who don't know, on April 4th, 2019, I was driving in this little small town I live in. I was going to pick up some food, and in this parking lot, it was like all the police in the area were just funneling in. I mean, I haven't seen so many police in this area. And the song on the radio was actually Police Synchronicity. And I was like, I got to just record this and just show people, what are the odds of this, that this song's on the radio and the police are all just funneling in here right now? Well, when I recorded the video, I didn't realize that the time on the clock mattered. The time that's on the clock I forget what time it is, 6:07 or whatever time it is when I record it, the word synchronicity happens to sum to that number. And somebody pointed that out in the comments. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That is crazy. So
mind blowing, Zach. I remember that video. That was only like a very short video. I probably just I think it was like less than 5 minutes or something.
the video is not even 30 seconds long. It's a very short video. It's not even 30 seconds long. I just made a quick upload of look at what's going on right here.
Yes, I know. I saw that. That's unbelievable, Zach. And the other one, the last one I want to make with you once again is this. So that faithful philosophy thing was mind blowing. And finally, there was another book I wanted you to check out, Zach. This is one book that fascinated me. It's online. It's free for you to read. It's called Urantia, Urantia, right? And this book explains everything about life and the origin of life and how angels came and put the cell in the waters, and from the cell, evolution took place and man came out, and how it's fascinating, that book. However, there's a big mystery about the book because nobody knows who wrote the book, and it's a book that's supposed to come from a sleeping subject who was talking in his sleep. And so if you want to do a little research and see some numerology on this, if it's fake or if it's real, because that book is unbelievable. And the name is Urantia. You might want to check it out, Jack. And the last thing is amazing, once again, your work. Keep up the great work. It's I don't want to take too much of your time, but it's like fantastic. And my name is Mel. It's great talking to you, Zach. And I keep watching all your videos, and it's every day. This stuff can't be ignored. Like I said, every truther is going to have to take this work that you've put out and adapt it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they can't ignore it. Any topic you pick and talk about, such as any of the other truthers, how is it that they're going to ignore the numbers? It's impossible. It's right there for everybody to see.
I asked the same question, and that's been my hope this whole time, that more people would help spread this work. I really appreciate your call, friend. Thank you for the support and all the things you pointed out.
Yeah, and I hope you do well in the upcoming thing that's happening in Philadelphia, Zach. I hope like people are aware of your work, and you become kind of like famous.
Well, I think it'll go well. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much.
Oh, great talking to you, Zach. It's Mel. It's Mel.
N-E-L? N-E-L?
That's M-E-L, Mel.
Mel, got it. Mel, got it. Well, thanks for calling in, Mel. Nice to hear your voice.
Later, Zach.
All right, you take care.
Yeah, I'm going to call in next week. Bye.
All right. Yeah, you have a good night. Take care. All right. So from New York to Las Vegas.
Hey, Zach. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about a couple experiences I had recently. So recently was my birthday on the 29th of July.
Happy birthday.
And, oh, thanks. Appreciate it. And on that day, so I was talking to some random lady. I was out and about, and we got to talking, and I mentioned that, oh, it was my birthday, right? And she said, oh, really? My birthday's coming up soon, too. And I was like, okay, so when's your birthday? And she's like, August 11th. And I'm like, oh, wow, what a coincidence. I had to laugh at that one. I was like, I just said, I think that's just a coincidence, but I just thought that was funny how that happened.
Sure.
And then another thing is, on my birthday, I took an acid tap for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was actually a pretty mind-blowing experience because I took shrooms before, and it was similar to shrooms, except for with the acid, it was a little bit more hallucinations. Not necessarily limited, but a little bit more images and stuff going on. But it had a very similar effect. It was very mind-opening and all that stuff. And it lasted a long time. I think it lasts they said it lasts between 7 to 15 hours. I wasn't sure if mine lasted that long, but it seemed like it. And time just moved super slow. So It was pretty wild. But anyway, what I really want to bring up was I want to bring about the misuse of organs. And I'm going to bring that up right now. So I got some notes written down. And the word organs comes to 74, 29, 38, and 88.
What word is this? It's not coming through clearly. It's a little muffled. What word?
Organs, like organs.
Oh, organs in our body. Got it. Organs.
Yeah, organs in our body, right. Comes to 74, 29, 38, and 88. And we already know what words synchronize with that. The words Jesus, the words Messiah, Christianity, Jesus Christ, and cross. And also something to that same Gematria is the word Nipsey. And I want to talk about that because I actually have the definition of organ written down. And the definition of that is, it says a part of organisms that is typically self-contained and has a specific vital function. So I thought that was interesting because it says self-contained and has a specific vital function. So that's what I mean by the misuse of organs. Sometimes we use our organs for the wrong things. Like, you can't use the heart to think. You have to use that to feel, you know, because we have 5 main organs, and that's the brain, the heart, the lungs, the livers, and the kidneys. But if you misuse those organs, you put yourself out of tune. And I thought that was interesting because there's another definition of organs, and that's a large musical instrument having rows of tuned pipes sounded in compressed air and played using one or more keyboards to produce a wide range of musical effects. And so that's why I say I connected those 2 words, like organs as in organs, the instrument that you play, and organs in our body. They're very, very similar. We use our organs for specific tones and vibrations to give out signals. So when you're out of tune with your organs, you don't function correctly, kind of like how an instrument would sound if you're not playing it correctly. So I thought that was interesting. And also interesting, I found that the original word for organs is actually called a Greek word called organon. And organon means tool or instrument. And that word, organon, I have it here, hold on. I have it right here. That word comes to 33, 39, 84, and 105. What also comes to that is masonry, comes to 33, 105, 84, and 39.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the word humanity comes to 39 and 105. And there's 78 organs total in the body, and the word human comes to 78.
There's 78 cards in tarot too, and tarot's 78 or 74, excuse me. I didn't realize that 78 organs in the body, huh?
Yep, and the word human comes to 78. So my point is this: we have to tune our organs. We have to tune our organs to in order to put ourselves back online, if that makes sense. And a lot of times we misuse those organs. We use our organs for things they're not supposed to, because the definition specifically says something that has a specific task, you know? So the organs are very, very specific. So when you do certain things, you have to be aware of what organ you're using, how you're going to respond to certain things, because you can't use your mind to respond to everything. Sometimes you have to use your heart. Sometimes, you know, there's other things that are required in your body to use. So I wanted to bring that up because I think that is some interesting stuff. And also, with the whole Nipsey thing, the fact that the original definition of the word organ, or the original word for organ is organon, which means tool or instrument. And like I said, Nipsey Hussle has an exact overlap with organs. So that is further proof that he was a tool or instrument that the Illuminati or elite were using to get to the masses, you know. So that's pretty much the things I wanted to bring up first, you know.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, great observations. So I'm gonna look more into that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Zach. Well, you take care, man.
All right. Yeah, you too. You have a good night. Take care.
Yeah.
78 organs. We'll look more into that. It's an interesting number. I see Rambo is up next. How are you, Rambo?
Thanks again, Zach.
Thanks for calling back.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. Your house is getting vandalized and stuff. I thought that stuff ended. So.
Me too, but now it's just like, oh goodness. There has been a guy on my Patreon page posting my address everywhere, so I'm sure it's all part of the troll network. But Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Take care. Be safe out there.
I will. Appreciate it.
The caller Mel, he said he thinks that maybe what you do is divinely inspired. Yeah, I think astrology plays a part in this. I've talked about Jay Parker, how he's, I think, the best Illuminati insider because he's part of the DuPont dynasty. He said something along the lines of, people asked him, what do the Illuminati fear? Because they don't seem to fear anything. Do they ever fear anything? But he had, the only thing he said he ever remembers, because he doesn't have all his memories, the only thing he ever heard his parents ever talk about fearing was once his mother pointed out a beautiful full moon and he rebuked the mother, said, do not admire that thing. He said, that is Kali. That's what he said. He said, she will kill us. I'm thinking the rule, if that's just Jay, I mean, Jay Park is not suggesting worship the moon or anything, but he said that's the only thing he ever heard of Illuminati, any object that actually expressed fear for. And he says the moon. And I find it interesting, you were born in Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So, and even if you look up, just a general Wikipedia definition of zodiacs, if you look under, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and they say the detriment of Saturn is the moon, and vice versa. So I don't think it's a coincidence that you were born a Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, and is your life mission is what it is. I think it has everything to do with. So I agree with Mel. I think there's some, some higher powers that kind of destine you to do this.
What's funny is you make that statement as you've been on hold for 44 minutes, and of course, Cancer equals 44. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's a good observation. That's interesting.
So yeah, it's synchronicity. Again, Sin means the moon because the Sin was the moon god. Synchron, Chron is Chronos, Saturn, so Synchron. So yeah, it all adds up. Also, speaking of astrology, because you were saying how we probably do need to look more into astrology as well as gematria. Well, you said that you're talking about how the Book of Formation, it's the Kabbalistic Book of Formation. It was written by Abraham. That's where they say that God created everything by merging the letter with the number with the word. Well, actually, the Book of Formation, they say that is, I guess, Kabbalists, or I guess maybe Jewish people in general, they say the Book of Formation is where the tropical zodiac actually originated. In chapter 5 of the Book of Formation, they actually list the 12 houses of the zodiac. So it's the same book that is telling us about gematria, is also telling us about the tropical zodiac. Then I think they go hand in hand.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on astrology, but I think we need to do more. I think the more we know about astrology and combine that with gematria,
Indeed,
the more we'll be able to solve some of these riddles.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Also, I want to talk about something. This is not really gematria related, but last week a caller called in and he was talking about how the elites, the controllers, they manipulate the system by, number one, giving us a far left president, politically left president in Obama, and then right after that, giving us a far right wing president in Donald Trump. And you had said correctly that Obama is not far left at all. But he said, well, what about the Obamacare? And I think you conceded like, oh yeah, I guess Obamacare would be an exception, but there's a big misconception about Obamacare, which I wanted to address, because people think of it as a far left legislation, when it's actually not at all. It's the complete opposite. There's nothing left wing or liberal about Obamacare.
It did come from a Republican administration, Mitt Romney. So
no, it actually came before that. Actually, I want to talk about the roots of it. I just want to talk about that to clear it up. There's nothing left wing about it. The Affordable Health Care Act, that's what it's called. But they use Obamacare because Obama is a trigger. As soon as you hear Obama, you instantaneously have, well, what you've been programmed to think of, a communist or far leftist, when his record is the complete opposite. But the Affordable Health Care Act, the architect of the Affordable Health Care Act was the Republican conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. Obamacare, it's exactly what came out of the conservative Republican Heritage Foundation's healthcare plan, which was first published in 1989 in a document titled Assuring Affordable Healthcare for All Americans. And it was authored by Dr. Stuart M. Butler, who's a PhD. The Heritage Foundation Health Plan, which is the same thing as Obamacare, it's not government health care, which if it was, it would be liberal or left or socialist, but it's not government health care. The Heritage Foundation, their plan, aka Obamacare, it's written for the private insurance corporations, primarily for their benefit. The conservative corporatist Heritage Foundation healthcare plan, their key tenet is the individual mandate requiring that all Americans purchase healthcare if they don't have it through their employer. But those who don't have insurance are forced to buy it, or they'll pay a penalty. It's the government who enforces the law, but the government is merely the enforcement.
Oh, Rambo, pause real quick. We're going to commercial. We'll be right back, everybody. Okay, we're on that short commercial break. Unfortunately, Rambo got interrupted. We'll be right back with Rambo and the rest of the callers. Again, during the break, I am interacting with the chat on YouTube. If you're listening over the phone, I know that's annoying. I apologize. Yeah, the whole Obamacare, participate or be penalized thing, I mean, it's just terrible. It was just terrible. And it's part of what drove me to, stop working and doing this and not paying taxes. It's just an outrage. So. Sounds good, Dan. I'm in the middle of the state now. I'm not in Seattle anymore, just so you know. But you got my number, man, so. Dave writes, Rambo warms my soul, yeah? A lot of people really appreciate Rambo's work. For the people who are trying to call into the show and who are calling my Gematria hotline, you got to call the 213 number. I'm on Truth Frequency Radio right now, so it's not that 509 number. Don't call that one. Jeremy says, I'm doing some research on kayfabe. The term for faking events is real. Okay, never heard of that before. Kayfabe. Gotta look that up. Kayfabe, new term. What do I think of aliens? Well, I know that a lot of the popular stories that got people really thinking about aliens were all conducted by a very repetitive code, that number of 47 that's so important to Masonry. And from the incidents in Washington State to the 1947 Roswell incident in the 47th state, New Mexico, and beyond. So, I keep an open mind to all things, but I see who's behind the people that really got aliens to be the focus. So. Somebody said, fess up about your child sacrificing family. Well, nobody's doing that in my family, I can assure you that. So I don't know why you'd write something like that in all caps unless you're trolling. Your mother's birth numerology is 33. The master teacher number, maybe she was a great teacher. Here, we're coming back from the commercial.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question authority. This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back. True Seeker, 1 hour down, 2 to go. Taking your calls the rest of the way. Rambo is on the line. He's talking about the history of Obamacare, and we got interrupted by the commercial break, so we're going to go back to him right now. And as I say that, oh, there we go. Okay. Had a little glitch there for a second. Rambo, you still with us?
You said somebody said Rambo warms my soul. That's a really sweet comment. It's very encouraging. I like the fact the person who said that.
Sure, yeah, he's a good man. His name's Dave. So.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, Dave.
A lot of people leave comments like that in the chat. You should watch it, Rambo. You get lots of compliments out there. But
oh yeah, I had some friends listening to the show, and they said they were pretty impressed by the comments. I didn't actually see them, but they were. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you giving me this platform and the positive feedback I get from your audience.
Of course.
So I was saying that the Affordable Health Care Act, which has a government mandate, which that's what gives people the impression that it's a government plan, but the government is just the enforcement wing of the private insurance companies.
Right.
The penalty for not purchasing healthcare coverage is assessed through taxes. See, that's another reason people think it's a government plan. But the taxes, the tax penalty that people are assessed is then redirected to the insurance companies. So the government doesn't keep that money; it goes to the insurance companies.
It's truly fascist, is what it is. So.
Yeah, you jumped the gun on me. I was just about to explain that. I was saying when private corporations have that much power over government, that is called fascism. So Benito Mussolini, one of the most famous fascists in history, the former fascist leader of Italy, when he was referred to as a fascist, which he was, he famously responded that no, he's not a fascist. He prefers to be called a corporatist. In other words, corporatist fascist, like it's splitting hairs. So another way the conservative corporatist Heritage Foundation Healthcare Act, which is Obamacare, benefits, another way it benefits private corporations is by having no cost controls. So the private insurance companies can jack up the prices year after year with no limit and no justification. The only entity with the authority to stop or limit the price increases is the government. But that is not this is not a government plan. This is a private insurance corporate plan. So the government is left out when it comes to price control. But the government is included when it comes to forcing people to pay for the insurance company's premiums. In fact, Republican presidential hopeful Bob Dole, he ran on this healthcare plan as part of his 1996 presidential campaign against Bill Clinton. Former Republican Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, he was a pitchman for the plan. And Republican Mitt Romney, he actually implemented it as Massachusetts governor, which made it impossible for him to challenge Obama on Obamacare in the 2012 presidential campaign. Because Romneycare and Obamacare are essentially the same thing. the brainchild of a right-wing conservative think tank that primarily benefits private insurance industry. There was a genuine left-wing, liberal, socialist, whatever you want to call it, healthcare proposal by a segment of the Democratic Party, the Progressive Caucus, when Democrats, this is at the time Democrats had the majority in the House, they had the majority in the Senate, and they had the executive branch under Barack Obama. But that proposal was called the public option.
Right.
It proposed that Americans could opt for a government health plan, not forced. They could opt for it. It was the Democratic Party, House, Senate, and Obama who torpedoed that genuinely liberal, you can call it socialist healthcare plan. It was Democrats who made sure it wouldn't pass. Of course, the Democratic Party, congressmen and senators, have their campaigns paid for by the insurance companies. Also, Republicans eventually had a House majority, Senate majority. They had the executive under Trump, and he said he was going to come in there and, take the government by the scruff of the neck and, turn tables over and kick chairs. And you had a Republican Supreme Court majority. Yet, despite its over-the-top protestations of Obamacare and riling up the Republican base over it, and despite all this power Republicans have, in fact, Republicans also removed the filibuster from the Senate, so Democrats couldn't even filibuster. There was nothing to stop Republicans. Still, they never repealed Obamacare. Now, how is that possible? With virtually absolute power that Republicans had, they still haven't repealed Obamacare because it's their plan. That's why they don't want to repeal it. This is part of the game. Shakespeare said, "All the world's a stage." It's part of the act. It's unbelievable that supporters of Trump and them don't realize this. There's no reason. There's nothing to stop them repealing it. So it's not a government insurance plan. It's a private insurance company plan. The government's enforcement wing. That's all. Now,
exactly.
There actually is a genuinely lefty, liberal, socialist government healthcare plan in effect, not a private one. Every member of the House, Senate, and Supreme Court, plus the president, vice president, they all get it. That's right. What they get. They all get a government healthcare plan, but it's not for us.
Right.
So,
for the record, Ralph Nader's talked about this for a very long time, and Ralph Nader also made it clear at the very beginning of Obama's administration that Obama pretended that he was open to the single payer system or the public option, as you called it, but they said the moment he became president, he never looked in that direction at all. He just acted like he'd never even heard of it before. But yeah, everything you're saying is right on. And it's not just this way about this. It's just this is the entire way the political system is. I mean, they just create this illusion that, there's this it's just so obvious that both parties are in bed together with the same corporate companies and just creating, divisive rhetoric to keep the people divided. But the parties govern the same way at the end of the day. And it's like this across the board on all issues. And it just amazes me how people don't see through it, like you just said. So anyway, go ahead, please.
Yeah, they're both deceiving, their constituents, because even Republicans, there's literally nothing to stop Republicans from. Okay, now Democrats, after the last election, they have the majority in the House, but at the time when Trump first came in, they had total power. Yeah, they still have a majority in the Supreme Court, and they took away the filibuster from the Senate, so Democrats couldn't even. They literally were unstoppable. Yet they have it. Their base needs to ask themselves, why, with all that power, have Republicans still not repealed it? It's because they don't want to repeal it. It's fake. It's phony. People need to realize. Even on the issue of gun control, which Obama has the reputation, because again, it's like mind control. It's just the name Obama is a trigger. So you think, oh, far left, whatever. Obama's record on gun control, he signed 2 gun control legislations, which actually expanded gun control. One was you're now allowed to carry loaded, open carry firearms into national parks, including the Grand Canyon. And who put the gun control law on carrying guns in national parks, it was Ronald Reagan, the patron saint of the Republican Party, who they want to put on Mount Rushmore. Barack Obama actually reversed gun control by Ronald Reagan on that law. The other one that Obama signed into law, again, even though he didn't write the law, presidents don't write laws, he has the power to veto. Well, if he was such a lefty, socialist, anti-gun, why didn't he veto? The other law he signed into effect was a law that allows passengers on Amtrak to carry guns. It was George Bush, a Republican, who put that restriction into place after 9/11. So, in fact, there's a group called the Brady Bill, the Brady campaign. I guess that's the most prominent gun control organization. They actually rated Obama an F. At the end, he did do a executive order. It's just a slap on the wrist, or it's a tiny little fee, like I don't know, $5 or something for a background check. It's just a little, but that's his record on gun control. But Barack Obama actually expanded gun control. He did not add any restrictions to gun control. He expanded. That's a fact. So,
well, would it be?
This is the
instead of expanded gun control, it's more like he reduced gun control. You would say limited gun control.
Oh yeah, I meant gun rights. I'm sorry. He expanded gun rights.
There you go, gun rights. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's other things. But George Bush had this massive tax cuts for the multimillionaires and billionaires, but it had a sunset clause. They're only going to get this massive cut for a limited time. If Obama did nothing at all, the tax rate for the elite were going to go back up to the old rate. Obama didn't have to touch it. Obama put those tax rates. He made those tax rates permanent. So in that respect, he's actually more right-wing than George Bush in that respect. Same with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. I could go on and on. The idea that Barack Obama is lefty, or liberal or communist is absurd. Like, if anyone believes that, they're being intellectually lazy. They're just looking at Obama and it's triggering like mind control. It's absurd. There is no left realistic in the United States. So remember how you said how Gematria is lined up to the English language?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But okay, I think it's amazing synchronicity with Gematria in English and another language. I've been talking about Venus and Venus as the sacred feminine.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been talking about Islam is based primarily on the astrotheological beliefs that are the foundation of Islam are based on the worship of Venus. Just like, for Judaism, it's Saturn. For Christianity, it's the sun. So if you look at the Gematria of Venus in English, well, it's also noteworthy that the Prophet Muhammad, his daughter, was named after Venus. Her name was Fatima Zahra. In Arabic, Zahra means Venus. Take Venus, Gematria of Venus, and compare that. And that's English. Now, Arabic is a completely different language, obviously. And Venus is 81. It's 18. It's 54 and 27. Zahra is the same numbers. It's 54, it's 81, and it's 27. And these are two completely different languages which match up in multiple ciphers. I mean, what are the odds of that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And also, if you look at Islam, what's the Gematria of Islam? It's 54, 18, and 81.
Right.
Just like Venus is 54, 18, 81, just like Zahra. So that's pretty interesting. And also, I've made this point before, the burning of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Notre Dame, those are burning of two separate religious sites, but they both represented one thing, that was Venus, or the sacred feminine. Because Islam represents Venus, that's why they burn Al-Aqsa. Notre Dame, Our Lady, is the same. It's actually the same concept. So they actually were burning the same thing. It's like a war against Venus, literally. Another synchronicity. I'll end on this one. I looked up the Hebrew word for Venus. I mean, I don't know. I can't read it. I just did the Hebrew alphabet and put it on the Gematrinator. but the Hebrew word for Venus came out to 122 in Hebrew gematria and 41 in Hebrew ordinal. Zahra is also called Al-Zahra, so it has Al and then Zahra. If you put Al-Zahra, it comes out to the same numbers, 122 and 41. So yeah, I thought those are interesting synchronicities.
Yeah, very interesting. I realize that, yeah, you're absolutely right. I've been saying the same thing for years. We have to better understand the astrology component because it'll take us so much further ahead. I know that there's just a huge missing piece there. So you're doing a great job getting us started.
Yeah, that also came from the Book of Formation as well. The same thing, same place Gematria came from.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few differences with the Kabbalistic tropical zodiac. I mean, like for example, they what they do is any planets that are further than Saturn, they disregard. So it's like Pluto, Uranus.
Well, because they didn't exist.
Neptune.
They didn't exist. Those are the newest discovered planets, only in recent centuries. Those planets were all discovered by mathematics, not even by sight. So.
Yeah, so a lot of tropical zodiacs, like Aquarius, will be ruled by Uranus, and Pluto will also rule Scorpio. Neptune will also rule Pisces. But under the Kabbalistic Book of Formation, they eliminate all that. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn as well as. So yeah, there's some differences. I can see that Saturn is more a little bit more elevated.
That's what I would study, though. I would study it in the Kabbalah tradition because the newer stuff is more modern. It's the more modern interpretation, and we know all this stuff is deep rooted. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again. That's what I got for today.
All right. Appreciate it. Great call as always. You have a good night, friend. Be safe out there.
Yeah. Thanks for the compliments from the audience.
Oh, of course. You deserve them. All right, take care, friend.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, see you.
All right.
Great guy, humble guy, and he should read the comments more because he's getting a lot of compliments always. Let's go out to Texas. Hold on. Let's try that again, Texas. Let's try it one more time. There we go. Texas. Caller?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
You got me on? Okay, cool, man. Yeah, just a few things. Sorry. The other night.
Hey, hold on. You know what's cool? I just have to point out. I love the synchronicities when I go out to college. I don't do it on purpose. It just always happens this way. Texas equals 66. You've been on hold for 66 minutes when I go to your call. So just got to point that out. Okay, now you have the floor.
That's actually like one of the reasons I'm calling. That happens to me all the time. So I'll give you an example. Like a week ago, part of what I do, man, I used to do meth for 15 years, and to get off of it, I go help other people now who are struggling. And so I was at the library with my kids, and I saw this couple arguing. I could tell they were homeless. So anyway, long story short, I approach them. I ask them if I can pray for them and try to get some peace into the situation. And I ended up giving them $23. It was a little bit of money I had on me. Well, I go back to my house, and we run a soup kitchen out of my house. So I go back to pick them up because I remember on Wednesdays, I remembered that we do our soup kitchen. So I go back to look for them because one of the ladies knows who they are. So anyway, long story short, I'm going to try to make this fast. I take them back to the soup kitchen, find out some of their needs, and take the dude to get his ID from the DMV. While he's at the DMV, I go back up to my job. I go get my tip jar, and I got $23 in there. And I was like, that's weird. I just gave this dude $23. Well, then some of the kids I work with, we all have a community. Like, we go to church. And so anyway, I asked the kids, I'm like, hey, I want to help this homeless couple out that I'm helping right now. I got a little cash we could give them. They end up giving me $23, and so I tell the couple that after, I give them money, end up helping them and all that. And they're doing really great right now. So that kind of stuff happens to me all the time, especially with the numbers, like with times. So, this started happening to me about a year ago. I got out of prison in 2016 and went back to online insanity. And for about a year, I would just pray every day, you know, God, whoever you are, just don't let me learn my lesson back in the pen. Like, let me learn my lesson out here. I don't want to go be locked up and lose more time with my family. You know, I'm a hard head. So and I would pray that prayer every day, right? And then these numbers, man, like would just bombard me, like 444, right? So I started looking these numbers up, or I'd see like 1111 or like 333, and I kept getting these synchronicity of numbers. And it was almost like overwhelming, but also like really cool because it kind of it shocked my if you want to call it, it's a spirit, right? It like opened my eyes up to the spirit realm in a sense, right? And so basically I started looking into it, and I hear these people talking about it on YouTube, and there's all these different opinions. And it's funny because a long time ago I found the Sumerian cipher for Gematria, but had no idea about any of like your work or how deep the rabbit hole really went. And so I saw how the Sumerian cipher 444 is the same with 74. So everything in the English cipher that's 74, you know, is 444 in the Sumerian cipher, which is, you know, like Jesus cross, energy, melody, all of that stuff, right? And so I'm like, whoa, this is Jesus. And then, you know, at the bottom there, you got Lucifer. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, are they the same person? Like, and it's all so mind-boggling, right? And it's really hard to digest. And then I found your work, and it's funny, man. Like I saw you on Tinfoil Hat, and that's how, you know, I subscribed to your channel. And before that, I was listening to InfoWars every day, and I was on the Trump train, and everybody around me is still on the Trump train. And then I started to dig into your work, and it was like, dude, this is all run by that cabal, and it all started to click. And like, basically, man, like the thing with like the 23 that happened, right, with the guys got the $23 and all of that was like, it's still, I couldn't ignore the fact that there is still like a helping hand, you know, whether or not that's Jesus or some other person or deity or energy source or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and try to convert anybody or claim that I do know, because I don't. But I do know that there is still a helping hand, man. And like something I was going to bring up, well, two things. These aren't complaints by any means. Like I tried to get your book, and I guess I just didn't download it afterward. You got to hit download afterward?
You do.
Okay, yeah, I'll just get it again, because I really want that book.
Well, just email me at my YouTube channel name, gematriaeffectnews@gmail.com, and say, hey, this is the guy from Texas, and send me the book, and I'll send it to you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, definitely, man. I appreciate that. And also, my YouTube channel's my name, and I got in a conversation with you on one of your callers. There was a lady, and she was on the Trump train. You kind of got frustrated with her, and I just kind of like tried to like mention some things, and you were like, "Hey, man, appreciate it for the honesty," you know. And I thought that was very admirable that you didn't just like shoo me off. You actually sent me back a message, but anyway, that's who I am. If you remember that,
I do remember. Yeah, your comment was well put. I mean, it was right on. I wasn't asked to that lady, and that's why I apologized to her at the end. And I am like that from time to time. But yeah, your comment was right on point. So I always appreciate a fair criticism.
Yeah, I really respect that, dude. Also, man, so I want you personally, man, before anything else, if you would check out, there's a video I made called 2022 is a significant year and possibly the last. And I just want you to check that out and like let it blow your mind, because like I was saying, there's still that like helping hand, even though that this cabal has tapped in to I would call like the difference between like a dark art and then the like lost arts, you know. And like there's like a whole lot of speculation about what the difference is or whatever, but you know, basically the way I understand it is like you have the power structure tries to practice the dark arts. They communicate with the demons, they communicate with the dark energy forces, and then you have the lost arts, which is what they oppress. So it's like we still have the ability to communicate with the positive energy sources. We still have the ability to communicate with you know, the good guy, basically, you know. And basically that video, there's a picture, man. There's a physical picture you can see that will blow your mind. It was in my grandmother's fireplace. An old lady snapped that picture, dude, and there's absolutely no way anybody can debunk it. So I know you have a much bigger following. I just made a shorter version tonight because I kind of foreshadowed, saw all this kind of happening already. But anyway, like my point is that if you go check out the video, see what I'm talking about. And if anybody that wants to tries to debunk it, please send me the work, because that will be even more proof that it's undebunkable. It's an actual picture off of a phone camera. There's no like.
Hey, friend, we're about to go into commercial. Yeah. Send me that email to get the book, and in that email, attach your video, and then I'll help get that video out there so people can see it. So.
Bro, thank you so much, man.
All right, man.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, keep up the good work, man. Awesome what you do.
Thank you for all the hard work.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, take care, friend. Thanks for the call.
I pray for you, dude. I pray for you, man. I'm sorry about your house, dude. I'm gonna keep praying for you, man. That stuff doesn't happen anymore, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. You have a good night. Okay, we're on the short commercial break. I saw somebody in the chat said that they bought the book a while ago and it still hasn't come. Can they get some help? Again, email me at gematriaeffectnews@gmail.com if you need help with the book. It's an ebook, so when you buy it, you get the link and then you download it and then you save it to your device, your computer, your phone, your tablet, whatever you got. And the nice thing about it being an ebook is it makes it easy to, search keywords and find things you're looking for, because it's a massive book. It's 800 pages. And the other nice thing is you can forward it to all your friends and family, through an email too, and then they can quickly read it. So I know a lot of you are expecting a printed book in the mail, but notice that when you buy it, it doesn't ask for your physical address, so and the other thing is there's no way to distribute an 800-page book for $5. So I wish it was a printed book. Unfortunately, the people that were going to publish it backed out, and I was never able to find anybody who would ever since. So gematriaeffectnews@gmail.com. Send me an email, and I will help you out with the book. And if you sent an email in the past and I missed it, I understand I get a lot of email. Just keep hounding me until I do see it, and I will take care of you. So. So the name of my email is, look at my YouTube channel name, Gematria Effect News. It's that name at gmail.com, but just do Gematria Effect News all as one word. Gematria Effect News at gmail.com. And just say, hey, this is Nita. I need help with the book. And sorry, Nita, sorry for the confusion. But your situation's not unique. In the last year, I've probably, sent off I don't know, hundreds of emails helping out people who have the same problem. So. Well, a lot of people have bought the book expecting it to show up in the mail because it's. So. Good comment there, Jeremy. I'll look into that. All right, we're coming back. All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. We're at the halfway point of the show. We got an hour and a half left. There's about 8 people on hold right now. If you do want to call in, I'll definitely be able to get to your call before the end of the show. The number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. You go to tfrlive.com. The number's there to call in. Let's go out to Oklahoma.
Hey, Zach.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, okay. I found a quick connect between Emmitt Smith and Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Okay, so in the 5th year of Emmitt Smith had a contract holdout in the beginning of his 5th year in the NFL.
Okay.
This year is Ezekiel Elliott's 4th year in the NFL. He's having a contract holdout. There's a 5-4 connection.
Sure.
Okay, the day that Emmitt Smith signed a new contract in 1993 was September 16th, 1993. And September 16th was the same year that... Hello?
I'm listening. Yeah, you're there.
Oh, okay. September 16th, 1993. 1993 was the same year Dak Prescott was born. September 16th was a span of... September 16th was a span of 50 days after Dak Prescott's birthday.
Nice.
This year, Emmitt Smith is 50 years of age. Emmitt Smith and reduction ordinal equals 50.
Well, and Super Bowl 54 is the 50th Super Bowl of the modern era. That's interesting. Also, just about that date,
Exactly.
September 16th, 93, that was a date with 118 numerology. Dallas, Texas is 118. And it was also a date with 137 numerology, which is the 33rd prime. Cowboys is 33. NFL also equals 137 in satanic Gematria. So yeah, you're onto something. I'm listening. What else is here?
Okay, Ezekiel Elliott's birthday is July 22nd. Okay, September 16, 1993 was a span of 22 months and 7 days before Ezekiel Elliott's birth.
Huh.
So we have that. And, okay. So they're doing this ritual with Emmitt Smith and Ezekiel Elliott and the 554 connection.
In case you don't know this, you said Emmitt Smith equals 50. He's 50 years old right now. The word circle equals 50. And of course, 22 divided by 7 gives you pi, which has to do with the circle. So I'm just trying to fill in the gaps as you're giving us these numbers. But in case you didn't realize that.
Yes. So I don't know who your team is this year, but I really like the Cowboys.
Well, you could be onto something there. So I'm still doing my research, but that's a very interesting find you've made.
Okay, and if you type in a Super Bowl 54 sacrifice, it equals 331 in ordinal, and that reminds me of Nipsey Hussle, because
March 31st.
Super Bowl. Yes, and Nipsey, hold on. Nipsey Hussle, he died a span of 3 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days before Ezekiel Elliott's birthday. And the Super Bowl falls on the day that leaves 332 days remaining in the year this year.
Okay, that's interesting. Here, I'll give you something to go back and look at. Remember, Nipsey Hussle was in the Texas Tech Red Raiders jersey, and they made it to the college basketball championship. And, of course, it's Texas. Something to go back and look at is the Purdue game where Drew Brees tweeted afterwards, and him and Patrick Mahomes got into this little like Twitter contest. There was some. I'd have to go back and look at it myself, but there was something with the score. I can't remember off the top of my head, but just since you're connecting Nipsey Hussle and the football season, there was something with college basketball too, and somehow it was a little riddle at the NFL. So go back and look at that. I think you're onto something.
Between Texas Tech and Purdue?
I don't think it was the Texas Tech Purdue game. If you type in Drew Brees, Purdue, March Madness, you're going to find what – and then Patrick Mahomes responded. I forget it all now because there's been so many things since then, but you'll find what I'm talking about. So,
okay. Nipsey Hussle died 2 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days after Drew Brees' birthday. And Super Bowl equals 222.
Okay.
So, and Drew Brees was also born exactly 6 years, 7 months before Nipsey Hussle. And 331 is the 67th prime number.
All right. Yeah, very interesting. Well, keep it up and let us know what you find next time you're ready to call back. But I appreciate it, friend. And just so you know, next time you call back, you might want to figure out a way to boost the volume on your phone because it's pretty quiet and muffled. So if there's some way you can call in with a clearer line next time, that'd be great.
Okay, will do.
All right. Yeah, you have a good night. Take care. All right, let's go out to Utah.
Hi, Zod.
Hello.
Big fan. I heard Salt Lake. Been following you for about 3 years.
Thank you.
I think some of these callers are calling in. They're off base with this left and right. And I don't think they're actually paying attention to what you're putting out there. It's all about the politics. I mean, all the politics are controlled by this.
Sure.
It's not left. It's not right. They're all controlled by it.
Sure.
I don't think these half the people that are calling you are following you, actually. They're not listening to what you're saying.
Well, I don't know if are you talking about any specific callers tonight?
I am. I'm talking about Rambo. A lot of the stuff Rambo had to say was, you know, he's very intelligent. That's obvious. He's got a lot of great points. But I don't think it's a left and right thing with your knowledge and what you're putting out.
Well, I thought that was the point Rambo was making, that it's just the illusion of left and right, but it's really just all fascist and you know, the whole two parties is a deception.
No, I agree that, yes, I agree that it's fascism, Zach. You're right about that. But I think the knowledge that you're putting out there shows that everything is a farce. It's all run by this code. I mean, the sports, everything you put down is just dead on the money. I think the problem you're having, Zach, with the knowledge you're putting out is people that can understand this, people that can actually sit down and analyze this and actually think this could be a possibility. You have to be a person of a higher IQ. I have had problems at work. I have had problems with my wife, with my daughter, trying to share this knowledge. And I know that's why there's a lot of people out there that are afraid to actually say, hey, this is what I believe, this is what's going on, because they're worried, you know, how they're going to be judged, how they're going to be looked at, you know. Everybody's got to be out there in society and have their jobs. I mean, you've been through it. It's, you know, it's hard to get this out there because there's people not willing to get on board with you. They may believe it, but they're not willing to go to battle with you and say, hey, this is true, and I'm going to stand behind this.
I agree. I mean, I think almost everyone listening is nodding their head and saying, yeah, that's my experience too. And I mean, that is my experience. So, yeah.
I know. Yeah, and I've heard you talk about it numerous times, and I just, you know, I wish people would, you know, get together in their circles, because you know as well as I do, unless we all come together and say we're tired of this, it'll never change. That's exactly why who's ever running this says, let's keep everybody divided. Let's put the blacks down. Let's make the whites look bad. Let's keep everybody divided, because if we're all divided, we could never come together and say we're tired of this. We are not putting up with this anymore. We're done.
That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. Yeah, we need the million-man march in the nation's capital, saying we're not leaving until this comes to an end. So,
well, yeah, but I mean, well, how about the 350 million person march?
I agree,
where every citizen comes together and says we're sick of this.
Well, but it's going to have to take a spark. I mean, if 1 million people got the word out, you might get another 100 million to jump in, and then maybe you eventually do get to 350 million. So,
no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Zach. But I'm with you. I see the numbers. Like I watch these subscription numbers of like your channel and these other channels that say they're truth channels and speak, what's really going on out there. These people have 3, 4, 5, over 1 million subscribers. You're hovering at what, 68,000 subscribers? And I've watched you grow steadily over the years. It's like not enough people are receiving this information.
that's for sure. And it's become a lot harder because the new YouTube makes it a lot harder to get any views or find new viewers. So, and it seems like it makes it even harder for the people who actually subscribe to you to realize you posted a video. So, yeah.
You know what? I notice it all the time when I go to look for your videos. They keep you down. They keep you on the back burner. It's run by the you-know-whos.
Right.
I love that's one of my favorite phrases that you put out there.
Sure.
I appreciate your work, Zach. I'm a rabid follower, and that's all I got for the evening.
All right. I appreciate it, friend. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Zach.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
So I appreciate that call. I think he misunderstood what Rambo was saying, though. The way I interpreted Rambo's message was that he was just saying, like, the truth is, I mean, there's just no difference in these parties. It's all an illusion. And really, when it comes down to it, it's government and corporation. So that's what I took from Rambo's point of view. And that's what I've always said. So let's go out to Madison, Wisconsin.
Hey, Zach.
Hey.
Hey, I just had a quick, I know you like to keep it down to a point or two. I had a quick story that I put up on my blog. It's about Seth Rollins.
The wrestler?
Are you familiar with he's a WWE wrestler. He's one of the top guys. He's fighting Brock.
Yeah, he's won a lot. He's won some Royal Rumbles recently. I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I did a comparison, actually. I was sitting down one day. Do me a favor, if you go to Gematria Native, type in Seth Rollins and type in Jesus Christ and compare them.
I think I actually have a post on my blog about this. Yeah, I see the overlap with the 151 and the 146. So.
Well, so I found they're a match in 8 different ciphers.
Okay.
They're a match in single reduction at 70, English ordinal at 151, reverse ordinal at 146, and so on. There's 8 ciphers that they're a match in. And then just a couple of interesting points here. Seth Rollins is known as the Beast Slayer after he beat Brock Lesnar, who's known as the Beast Incarnate. And so these two are fighting at SummerSlam on August 11th from the Scott Trade Center, I believe. But somebody had called in your show a few weeks ago and did a little decode on the Scott Trade Center and the date of August 11th, and there was some tie-ins there. But yeah, I just found the Seth Rollins and the Jesus Christ name tie-in really interesting. He must have put a lot of thought into that name that he chose. But yeah, that was basically all I had. I just wanted to do a quick story like that, and then that was from my blog. My stuff's more geared towards the date numerology every day. So when I put up a story, I'll show the date numerology, like 7 plus 31 plus 2 plus 19. Today's date, and then that number will be in the headlines and in the story. So my blog was dreamingawake88.tumblr, and I try and put up stuff like that. I try and put up a video with each blog post as well to try and make it easy. So if anybody's trying to show anybody some easy, quick stories that you know, will hit you, you can try and use that. But that's about all I had for this week. I appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate it. Great work. Keep it up. Glad to hear somebody else is putting out the knowledge. You have a good night, friend.
You too.
All right. Take care. Okie dokie. Let's go out to Indiana.
Hey, Zach, I forgot to ask you something earlier, bro, about you got your house vandalized again or something?
Yeah, I did.
You got to be kidding me, bro.
Yeah, it was the yesterday surprise.
It probably is the trolls. It probably is the trolls. Now, I got a little advice for you. Have you thought about maybe hooking surveillance up to your computer where you could see your complete property?
Well, that's what I said I need to do yesterday, so that's on the to-do list. So,
you know what, bro? Let me get my kidney. I'll come out there and guard your house 24 hours a day, bro. Because you're the best, man. I mean, look at your video on food nutrition and all the stuff you show. There ain't nothing wrong with you to where you need to be harassed by these people. And I have a question for all these trolls out there because I know they're listening right now. How's it feel to look down and know that you have no penis? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're the type and I'm the type and all our followers are the type, if they have a problem with somebody, I'm going to go knock on the door, bro. I'm not going to go ambush and shoot them from behind and put a knife in their back and tear their yard up or tear their garage up. I'm going to go light them up to their face, bro.
Well, that's because we're not cowards. That's because we're not cowards. And that's a reminder that the people that the opposition are a bunch of cowards. So
yeah, our opposition's coward, the government's coward, the rigged sports leagues are cowards.
Right, these technology companies are cowards. All of this censorship is all cowardice, and it's just a joke. So
it is. It all is a joke, bro. And that's why when we get 1 million strong and we're in that White House lawn, we're calling them out, bro. You know? Because they're all cowards, even the trolls. You trolls out there who make an account that say your name's Mark Woods and you don't get no picture and you're sitting there talking shit. You're a coward. Come knock on my door. Don't mess my yard up and vandalize it. Because I tell you, Zach, the first time I heard about the squirrel story and the garage story and all that, you get that home surveillance. And the first time that somebody's sneaking up in your yard, you go out and light that mother effer up. Let's see who the next one is to come vandalize your yard, bro.
Sure. Well, that's how it's going to be too. So, yeah, I'm tired of the games.
You can get a hunting rifle, right? You can get although you got that restraining order, you still have the right to own a hunting rifle, right?
Well, I don't have that problem anymore because I don't live next to that person. So.
Yeah, but people are still obviously messing up your shit. So what I would do is go get you a legal hunting rifle that you could, hunt with. And next time you see some coon out there fucking in the trash, messing up your yard, go blow that mother effer away, bro. And then ask who wants to mess with my stuff next.
Sure.
That's the way you got to treat people, bro.
Sure. Well, what I'd rather do is just go out and sock them in the face with my fist, honestly. And if they come back, then they might get the they might get the next.
Maybe they got a gun on them too. You never know. So if you got your hunting rifle, then I'm just saying your bases are covered, bro.
This is true. All right, brother. I do appreciate it, man. But yeah, you're on the same wavelength as I am. So that's the next order of business here.
Yep, get you that surveillance, and then they know it, and then they ain't gonna come up within a block of your house, bro.
Right. All right, man.
That's all I wanted to say, man. Your house got vandalized again, and it's bullshit. You're a good guy, man.
Yeah. I guess it comes with the territory. But get some rest there, friend. Take care of yourself. Appreciate you calling in.
You know it. I'm getting better and better every day. I'm good. Thank you, bro.
That's good, man. You have a good night.
Yep.
All right, take care.
You too.
Let's see. I think Washington State. How are you, Washington? Or hold on, it didn't work. Let me try it again. There we go. Washington State.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
All right, loud and clear.
All right. Hey, good old Rich. Rich, I got a penis, so I'm good. I'm on your side. It's always good to hear from him. Yeah, I'm up here in Whatcom County, by the Canadian border. But what I was calling in for was that fighter jet crash this morning, Death Valley.
In Death Valley, I didn't know that. I've been busy doing other stuff all day, so I haven't really seen any of the headlines. Okay, tell me more.
Yeah, so I just kind of came across it. So the headline on ABC7, kind of interesting. It says Navy FA-18E fighter jet crashes in Inyo County. Search and rescue team responds to Death Valley National Park area. And then in a little bit in the article I read, China Lake and everything, which is where we had the earthquakes.
Right.
But that Navy FA-18E fighter, the 18 kind of just did a little jump out to me, right? And I'm like, okay, 18, you got an A right there. You got A11, okay. And then F and 6, 5 plus 6, you got another 11. But if you add that 1 and 8, just the numbers itself alone, no letters, you get 9, kind of like 9/11.
Sure.
So I kind of thought that was kind of a little bit maybe interesting, or I don't know if it's out there or not, but.
Well, the thing I started to think of right away is Death Valley, because today's July 31st, right? So 7 plus 31 is 38. Right. Death's 38. Did they say that the pilot died, or did he get out?
I haven't read too much into it yet.
Okay.
I kind of got to stop dealing with the kid there. Plane crashes around. I don't know. No, not too many yet. It mentions Star Wars though.
Huh.
It's kind of odd.
As in the movie or the missile defense system?
The Overlook is an area informally known as the Star Wars Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Which was used for the military training flights back in the 1930s.
Huh.
That's kind of interesting. But also what I thought was kind of interesting is the date too. Today's date, 7/31, the numerology comes out to be an 11.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well then tomorrow it falls on the first day of 8/1, so you got your 8/11, 8/11 again. But then it also can get to your tomorrow 1/8 or 8/1 as a 9 today, 9/11. So I was like, whoa. 8/11 always, I don't know what it is lately, but.
Yeah, it seems to be everywhere. Well, very interesting. Yeah, I do appreciate it. Great observations. I will look more into that story tonight. Yeah, today I was just, Wednesday's a bad day for me because with what I have to do on Patreon, it takes like all day. So anyway, I'll catch up on the news headlines tonight. And I do appreciate the heads up, so thank you.
Yeah, and then for Rich, and shout out to everybody that's listening too, and all the non-listeners really, is doing great work at that Gematria, daily dose of Gematria, and get that out there. He's the one that actually talked me into calling in and listening or talking. But then also Rich always is talking about how we got to get out there, more as a group and get the word out. And I know somebody said billboards, but someone got to risk it just going in front like a Boston Marathon deal, like right at the finish line. Every camera in the world is on that shit right there, and someone runs across, Gematria, Zach Hubbard, boom, boom, boom. And just, people got to grasp on and get it out. Like, that's,
sure.
For that, trying to get everything out. Everybody needs to do more of that, but.
Well, you're right. That's right. Public disobedience for a mission, and that's a good idea, actually. maybe I could even do that myself, honestly. So yeah.
Or even just like you could fly a plane over a big event. You know, you're not breaking no laws. You're not doing nothing. There's no air freaking law right over here, and it's a big ass banner. It's just doing what they do with the chemtrails. Let's just go back and forth. Just go right in your face too. We know. And then if you get arrested, okay, you get a slap on the wrist, you get back out.
Sure.
And then bam, you just keep going back at it.
Yeah, right on.
Hey, here we are too.
Hey, caller, the commercial's about to jump. The commercial music's about to start, but I really appreciate the call and the ideas.
I'll let the next person get on. And thanks for everything you do, Zach. And yeah, Gematria, love it, babe.
All right, appreciate the call, man. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, take care. All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. I see in the chat there's a very generous super chat. And I see the caller said that they called me earlier today and they asked if I could text them back. If you could send a text message right now, that'd be real helpful, because this phone gets a lot of calls each day and a lot of text messages. If I remember right, you called from California, and scanning. I think I might have identified your phone number, but if you could text right now, that'd be helpful. And thank you very much for your generous donation. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. And next time you call, just please let me know what you wanted to say, because I'm always busy is the reality of the situation. So if I pick up the phone, just let me know what's on your mind. Don't even ask if I'm busy, because the answer is going to be yes. So but thank you very much. That's very generous of you. And if anybody else sent a super chat tonight that I didn't see, thank you very much as well. I only have my eyes on the chat during the break. So Jeezy says, is it true that horror films and other such types of films have spells attached to them that are meant to impact the viewer? I would say that that's very possible. You look at what programming does for the masses. I mean, it is a form of mind control. And even before I knew about Kabbalah and Gematria and all this, I used to think people were just under some sort of spell, and I didn't understand how it was, and I didn't understand why I wasn't under the same spell. But I would say, yeah, that is very possible. So thanks for the compliment, Lord Finn. Oh, Miss Mildred, how are you? Are you asking me, have I set the dates yet for Philadelphia after I'm done at Philadelphia? And I need to do that. I need to do that ASAP. I'm going to get everything worked out by this weekend, and I'll let everyone know where I plan to be. But definitely want to meet up in some public places, and maybe places where we can gather and expose some information and make like a little documentary on the street. And then after we do that, maybe go gather somewhere and get some food together. So like maybe standing outside the United Nations and teaching people about why it's 39 floors tall. That could be cool in New York. And there's plenty of things in New York we could do. So, all right, here, we're coming back from the commercial.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
The time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question 3. This code has been compromised.
We're back. True Secrets, the final hour. Jonathan, longtime guest of the program. He should be joining us on Skype here pretty soon. He wanted to get his voice out there. He's got some things to talk about. In the meantime, we're going to keep going to your calls. California, you're up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, good evening, Zach. Wanted to call in and talk about something that hasn't really been discussed on this kind of plane, because everybody talks about aliens and 9/11 and, you know, things of that nature. But like, there's some discoveries I made recently on the 9/11 topic that's kind of mind blowing. This is something that, you know, a lot of people never even really thought about, and how aliens could be tied into 9/11. But as you've seen that My Pet Goat animation, of course, and in the beginning you'll see George Bush on the marionette next to that black lady in the purple shirt. That black lady represents a witch, because I'm sure people have heard about this bizarre 7 minutes of silence thing that George Bush took when he was reading the children the book called My Pet Goat. So that teacher that he's sitting right next to, if you watch it, it's a video on YouTube. You can pull it up. All you got to type in is Bush's 7 minutes of silence. It's kind of awkward how the whole thing takes place, because in the beginning of the video, you'll see three figures standing next to each other. And those are basically, you know, George Bush's colleagues in the Secret Service, or whatever you want to call them. I noticed that one of the tall figures, the black man that was standing there, he kind of looked a little odd. Like, he just didn't look normal. And the thing that caught my eye was how small his ear was. So granted, I'm paying attention to detail, and I realized that one of the ladies that was standing next to the black man, she's holding three fingers with her pinky extended. So I noticed how she had basically this laser focus the whole time this witch, the teacher, was making the kids chant out certain words while she was like kind of beating a book with the pencil, like a tribal drum beat. That's like what kind of got put in my head. I'm like, you know, wondering why this teacher that's making these kids say these certain words, like, I know in the beginning, before she starts reading the actual story, she has them chant, "Kite must hit steel plane." And then you'll see the Secret Service dude walk up to George Bush, whisper in his ear, and the dude doesn't even flinch. So that was just interesting to me, how he took a 7 minute vow of silence while this teacher's kind of almost casting a spell, so it seems, right?
Another thing is, if you look at that scene, for people, I imagine most people are listening know what you're talking about. You're talking about the classroom scene where George W. Bush was in Florida when he was alerted what was going on September 11th. But if you look at the whiteboard behind her, she has written up the pet goat, page 153, and she tells the class to open up the pet goat and turn to page 153. Well, the pet goat equals 153, which is a very special number. It's the 17th triangular number. So what you're saying is actually real. I'm going, okay, this is really interesting. But yeah, there's just all sorts of ritualistic things going on in that classroom, including what she's having the children chant. But please go ahead.
Right. So I noticed even during Trump's inauguration, the one I watched was the PBS special, and you see him come out the limo, and it's almost like a shockwave that hits the screen. It has a little glitch in it, and you see him come out, and there's two tall figures, almost just as tall as that black man that was standing in that classroom, and they're holding their hands the same way that one woman was holding her pinkies. I mean, her fingers when the pinky was extended. So I've been doing a lot of research lately because some weird stuff happened to me on just like a high-tech level that it's just bizarre. I woke up one day and I realized in my kitchen that there was 3 triangles imprinted into the wooden cabinets that are in my kitchen. And I'm looking at them like, this is not normal. There's no way condensation or anything man-made could have done those as perfect as they are. Then I get to looking some more and there's 3 crescent moons on the opposite side. So I'm like, okay, there's something weird going on in my orbit right now, because all this information that I started taking heed to all came at once. And it's almost like, you know, people that talk about abductions and stuff like that, they say like all of a sudden this information gets downloaded in their brain or something. I didn't get abducted or nothing. It's just this whole deal got pulled back. And I'm starting to realize maybe this whole government thing isn't what we really think it is. Because if there's higher intelligence that's not visible to the naked eye or anything that's ever been discussed, I'm sure we all heard of witches and spells and voodoo and stuff like that. But the depth of it, I'm starting to realize, how is that correlated with that lady holding her pinky out with the 3 fingers with laser focus, who doesn't say or move or anything, with the same beings that are following Trump during his inauguration parade?
Well, it's all very interesting. Yeah, I have a lot of questions too. You know, the lady I call my e-mom, she hasn't called in for a while. I think she's mad at me because I'm not accusing Donald Trump of being a shapeshifter or a reptilian. And I mean, honestly, I'm open to all that stuff, but I'm not going to start making those accusations because it's just so hard to prove. And I like to stick to what I can talk about and show what evidence I can. I mean, if there's ever a day where I'm able to get my hands on Donald Trump and see if he's actually a shapeshifter or a reptilian, well, I'll be the first one to talk about it. But until then, it's an idea I'm open to. But I mean, what you're saying, it goes along the lines with what she's saying. And the thing is, you're seeing, what looks odd through the video footage. And that's the other thing I don't like. When I look at stuff in videos that people show to me, I'm like, well, was it that way or was it a doctored video? So... But I am open to all of it, and if we are ruled over by higher intelligence, it wouldn't be surprising at all. I mean, it would actually make a lot of sense. So,
yeah, especially with the way things are going in the skies right now. I mean, it's just so bizarre. Just the different things that are being seen right now. It's, all this, just the fact that it's all hit me in the last couple of months. It's just, one tries to make sense of it, and just those 2 correlations alone. Like the tall beings that are holding their hands but never say a word and just they're following Trump. It's like the technology that's being used to puppeteer what I believe is, the presidents and stuff like that. I mean, no one will ever know. You're right. There's no way to prove it. And by the time it's all said and done, no one will ever probably know.
Very possible.
So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, appreciate it. I'm going to go back and watch that footage as soon as I can. Now, I want to go back and see if I can make the same observations you're pointing out. But yeah, that classroom setting was absolutely a ritual. There's no denying that. So thank you very much.
Right.
All right. Have a good night, man. Okay. Uh-oh. I forgot who I just talked to last. Hold on. Let me try this caller. Caller?
Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, I've been trying to get a hold of you for weeks. You're very tough to reach, so I figured I'd wait on hold here and talk to you on your radio show.
You made it.
Okay, this is Myron. I'm from California. And boy, I'm really worried about the 8/11 thing coming up. So I've been doing a lot of research, with my brother. And I think that what we're overlooking is in the movies. They've given us tons of hints in the movies. For what reasons, I don't know, but I think one movie in particular stands out as a hint that 8/11 is going to be a much bigger day than anyone realizes. So and the reason I came to this movie was, George Bush died on November 30th, which was exactly, 8 months and 11 days before 8/11.
Right.
You follow?
And the name George,
So what's 9?
the name George Herbert Walker Bush equals 118.
I know. Well, it's no coincidence that he died exactly 8 months and 11 days before 8/11. So I was thinking, so what's 9 months and 11 days before? Well, that's Halloween. So I think Halloween is a big deal here. So I'm thinking, okay, what movies portray that? You got Halloween 1 with Michael Myers, Halloween 2. What about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch? Have you seen that movie?
I haven't.
Oh, I highly recommend it. It's extremely creepy. It's not a sequel to the first two. And I think that it's a message, and there's specific numbers in this movie that point to 8/11, 2019 being a huge, huge event, which I think people are overlooking. And, it was kind of an obscure movie. It wasn't real popular. It was kind of just a really dark, creepy movie. But in the villain, Conal Cochran, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but he had his lair, and he had a computer in his lair. And throughout the movie, you see these 4 sets of numbers on this computer. Granted, this is a 1983 movie when computers were in their infancy, but these 4 numbers were glaring at us throughout, half the movie. And if you write them down, you can kind of study this. I don't know if you get a pencil there.
Well, I can write them down.
Yeah, it's okay. Write down 8/11, 9/11, 10/11, and 11/11.
Okay.
They were like in 4 sequences like that on the computer throughout a large portion of the movie. So, so I'm analyzing these, and on the TV, there was a TV screen next to the computer. Well, around the TV, which was kind of crooked, it looked like the ruins of the World Trade Center once it had collapsed. Like just kind of the skeleton of the buildings that were partially, that were remaining after the collapse of the World Trade Center. So it was really odd that these numbers would appear there. And then on the TV, it was kind of a dusty, smoky scene, kind of like the collapse after the World Trade Center. So that was kind of creepy. But look at these numbers. You got 9/11 on there. What do you think? What are the odds that 9/11 has to do with the real 9/11? So I'm looking at it. What are the next 2 numbers after 9/11? 10, right?
Right.
You see that?
Uh-huh.
Flip them around. You got 9/11/01, right?
Okay.
Okay, so do you think this 8/11 has anything to do with it? What are the next 2 numbers after 8/11?
Okay, because this is the exact sequence that's written down in the same one you told it to me in?
Yeah, so you got these 4 numbers. You got 8/11, 9/11, 10/11, and 11/11.
Right.
So if you look at 9/11, the next 2 numbers is 10. You got to flip those last 2 numbers and you get 01.
Okay.
Correct? So that's 9/11, 2001. So 8/11, the next 2 numbers are 91. You flip them and it's 19. 8/11, 19.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I have reason to believe that this is going to be on par with 9/11 because it's, it's glaring here. And so, what about these other numbers? You got 10/11 and 11/11. So you can't do anything with those. So I think that's a date sequence. And the only time sequence you can make out of that is with the 10 and 11 is 21 years. So you got 21 years, 11 months, and 11 days. You follow how I got that?
Okay. Yeah.
So you take the 10 and the 11, you add them up to get 21. So it's 21 years, and then the 11/11 is 11 months and 11 days.
Sure.
What are the odds that exactly 21 years, 11 months, and 11 days before 8/11/19, something significant happened within the royal family? Because this 8/11 thing has to do with the royal family. You got London Breed, all these things. What are the odds that single day, not a week later, not having to hit the little end date? I'm talking exactly something major happened within the royal family. Wouldn't you kind of be blown away?
Well, now that you've said it, sure. I see where you're going.
So here's the thing. 21 years, 11 months, and 11 days before 8/11/19, Princess Diana was murdered. To the day. It's to the day. So I think that there's something screwy going here. Now, here's the kicker, and this is a spoiler. It's too bad I've got to spoil it, but throughout the movie, they did a countdown to Halloween because it was a very sinister movie where the kids were going to be murdered on Halloween because of these masks that they had on.
Right.
So throughout the movie, they had this little theme song doing a countdown, and it's kind of like 8 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Do you recognize that tune?
Well, it sounds like London Bridge is falling down. Yeah.
It is, exactly. If they disguised the song, they disguised London Bridges to sound kind of like something else, but it was absolutely London Bridges.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the kicker. It makes the hair stand up on my head that this is what they're, and in the movie, there's 3 cities that were mentioned in print on the, within the movie. It was San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix were actually mentioned and listed within the movie. And I don't know, I would highly recommend watching this movie. It's really creepy, and I think that something sinister is going down with these numbers and everything. I don't plan on being in California on 8/11. I think that we're talking about like a major earthquake, terrorist attack. I mean, something bad is brewing here, and I think it's been in the works for, this movie is almost 40 years old. So I don't think that they would go to the trouble to, all the numbers in the world line up, and I think this is going to be a lot worse than people think. And I've got tons of stuff I can share with you. This is probably just the tip of the iceberg, but it's I wish I can text it to you or something, because a lot of them were pictures I found on the internet that have to do with the royal family, and you can see how it syncs up with this 8/11. It's really
Hey, did you run the Gematria of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch?
I didn't do it. I'm not.
Well, I'll tell you what it equals. It equals 141, and that number sequence started with 8/11. 8/11 is the 141st prime, and San Francisco, California is 141.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly believe everything you say. I mean, you're better at it than I am, but I've been following it for about a year, and I'm a true believer. I believe that all these false news events and false shootings and all the major events are all orchestrated for whatever reason. I don't know by whom, whether it's elites or aliens, or the nature of the universe, mathematical universe. It's really, I'm just worried about this 8/11 coming up real quick. We've got like 10, 11 days, and what was funny is we had that earthquake on July 4th. I think that was kind of like a warning. What are the odds we're going to have a once in 20-year earthquake on July 4th?
Right.
That was exactly 888 hours before 8/11.
Huh.
And then you do know that this is this month, August, is the 888th anniversary of the nukings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right. Well, the other thing that concerned me is the July 4th earthquake was 38 days before August 11th, and 38 and 118 are the numbers that symbolize death that show up together all the time. And then right after that, they kept saying that the big one is coming. This isn't the big one. The big one's coming. It's imminent. So, it is concerning.
I've got these pictures of the Cleveland Browns in their football uniforms, and there's a guy standing there with the number 8, and next to him is a guy standing there with number 11. And it looks like California. There was 4 people there, and the way they lined it up, it looks like Tamales Bay on the left-hand side, which is where the San Andreas Fault runs right through it. And the way they were lined up was, it looked like California. There was an 80 in there, which is Highway 80 that runs right through San Francisco. The very next day, they had the royal family photo op in the same position, and everybody was faced the opposite direction. And the headline was, royal rift within the royal family. A rift is like a fault line. And it was kind of like the opposite image of the Cleveland picture that was the day before. Now, the interesting thing is, if you write down Cleveland, they made sure that the land was blocked out on one of the uniforms. So it said sea level. was actually what it said.
I see.
Because you couldn't see like the last few letters.
Right.
And then the other one, you can see the guy's name. It said Landry, which is dry land. So here you have San Francisco Bay. You got the fault line. You have the words dry land and then sea level. And then with the same thing with the royal family, they're talking about a royal rift. I mean, this is carefully choreographed and engineered. And I'm really leery about this 8/11 day. So I just thought I'd come onto your show and throw you that Halloween 3 thing. I think that's like one of the biggest things is those series of numbers. And then also in the movie when they tied the guy up, they looked at a clock. It was a Spartus clock. It said 8/11 on it. It was in his in one of the kill rooms. So he was tied up in a kill room. They looked over and there was a Spartus clock. It said 8/11 on it.
Well, it makes sense why they'd be coding that number in the film, because again, the name of the film equals 141, and 8/11 is the 141st prime. So, yeah, there's a reason they did it. You're right.
And it's Halloween. It's exactly 9 months and 11 days before 8/11. So that's why they used the movie Halloween to get these hints.
So Halloween, the word equals 41, just like how it's on October 31st, 10 plus 31 is 41. And when you write out 41 as a word, it equals 118, just like how George Herbert Walker Bush equals 118, and he was the 41st president. Caller,
right.
Don't live in fear, man. It's good to be aware, but we do live in.
I'm not, but I'm in the middle of California, and we don't have earthquakes in Fresno, but I sure felt that foreshock. It was a 7.0 or so, and my pulse shook for a good 10 minutes, sloshing back and forth. So I'm in between San Francisco and Los Angeles, and I'm just predicting a 9/11 event because of the sequence of numbers there, the Gematria and everything else. It's like, all the tea leaves couldn't be more aligned from all directions. And another movie I'll give you is The Blues Brothers. You ever see that one?
I haven't.
You've never seen The Blues Brothers back in 1981 or so? That's one of the best movies ever made.
My dad loves that movie. I wasn't alive yet, but I haven't seen it. I'll have to go back and watch it.
Man, that's a classic. I've seen it like 20 times, but anyway, John Belushi's speeding down Chicago, breakneck speed, and throughout the whole movie, they're on this, mission from God. Well, when he's going his fastest, his speedometer was exactly 118 miles an hour.
Huh.
So they get to the Daily Center Plaza. They rush to the door, and you can see on the door there's a gold, like a gold plate. And on the gold plate, there's the number of the address, 118. And I'm thinking, California's the Golden State. So they got the gold plaque, it says 118, and then they're rushing to get to the top of the building as quickly as they can, which, I thought was pretty odd. But going back to his speedometer, it was 118 miles an hour. You know what the numbers of the odometer added up to? Like all the, 10375, whatever it was. What number do you think that all those digits added up to?
Tell me.
19.
Huh. Wow.
This movie was made in like 1982 or 1980 or so. So he was going 118 miles an hour, and then the rest of the digits down below added up to exactly 19. It's in 2019. And then, 10 minutes later, you've got all these Marines and Army, and it's like martial law scene. It was really creepy. I think that there's dozens of instances like this where they're foreshadowing these things in these, big blockbuster movies.
Sure.
What about Back to the Future? You've seen the Back to the Future video where they forecasted 9/11 and Back to the Future. Have you seen that video?
The Twin Pine Mall.
Yeah, the Twin Pine Malls, the Twin Towers.
Well, go look at the stopwatches. Somebody just showed me the stopwatches, how they stop them at 9/11, but they actually start at 8/11 before they stop it at 9/11. So.
Oh yeah, but you watch this video. It's professionally done. It's about 20 minutes long, and it's mind blowing that all the vast amount of hints for 9/11 that they had in this trilogy, and Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2. Well, I think that Back to the Future 3 is showing this 8/11 thing again. There's two actors that they're actually they have to do with San Francisco. And there's only a couple movies that I can think of that take place in San Francisco. Do you know off the top of your head what they might be?
Film set in San Francisco. Well, I mean, we've talked about the film, what's it called?
Well, you have
Pacific
Mrs.
Rim,
Doubtfire, right?
That Pacific Rim film, the Golden Gate Bridge gets destroyed on August 11th.
On August 11th, exactly. That's almost too obvious. I'm thinking that's too obvious for their purposes. But yeah, that was creepy. And then Godzilla was another one where the bridge comes down. But one that's more benign seeming is that Mrs. Doubtfire. Have you seen that?
Robin Williams movie?
Yeah, Robin Williams, who died on 8/11. You know that,
right? Right.
So he died on 8/11, just north of San Francisco. And he was cremated, and his ashes were spread in the in the bay. That's kind of creepy. But so he's the actor in Mrs. Doubtfire, and he roughly portrays the Queen of England. He plays kind of a frumpish old lady, and very loosely you can kind of equate that with the Queen of England, which we're coming back to that London theme again. They've got London.
Hey, caller, we're about to get muted because the music's not playing right now for some reason, but we're about to go to commercial break. We'll be right back, everybody.
The reviews for Extendovite are amazing.
All right. Yeah, he's a good caller. He's got a lot to say. The Bridge. That's the film about the suicides. Rambo, who calls in, he did a great decode on that film, The Bridge. I've lost track of time. It could have been 9 months ago now. Sometime in the last year, Rambo did a great decode on that. A lot of 118 encoded in that film. Inspector Gadget even had predictive programming, huh? That was my cartoon when I was a kid. I didn't like many cartoons, but I liked Inspector Gadget. The Evil Cat. Blues Brothers airs on 8/11. What does that mean? Blues Brothers airs on TV. Blues Brothers, August 11th. Let me see. I don't know what you mean by that. I was trying to look it up. Blues Brothers airs on 8/11. Final Destination has the San Francisco scene with the Golden Gate Bridge. The time I took his call out was at 8/11. I didn't notice that. What's funny is on the call board, I see all the times people called in at Eastern Standard Time. He called in at 10/11 Eastern Standard Time, so 7/11 Pacific. And one of the other numbers he was talking about was 10/11 too in that movie sequence. Blues Brothers 187, huh? Blues Brothers rebooted August 11th, 19, so a new movie's coming out? That's a Sunday, though. Why would the movie come out on a Sunday? All right, we're coming back from the break. All right, we're back. True Secrets, the final half hour. I want to let people know who's on hold right now. Sit patient. I'm going to get through all these calls. Washington State, New York City, Grand Prairie, Texas, Mobile, Alabama, Nebraska, Missouri, Baltimore. Going to get through all these calls. The caller who's been on from Fresno, he's been a great call. He's been on for a long time. He got interrupted by the commercial. I'm going to go back to Fresno for a moment. But Fresno, if you can just please hit us with one last thought, just so we can get through the rest of the callers. You've been a great call, but got to make sure everybody else gets in too who's been waiting. So I'll let you finish your thought, and please do it quickly, and then we got to move on.
Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, real quick. So I just wanted to throw a couple things out there. You guys can research. Are you aware of Prince Harry's Invictus Games?
Yes.
Okay, so that came to the U.S. stores 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days before 8/11.
Okay,
So,
that's a good observation, because a lot of false flags in the world have been synced up with the Invictus game since that thing started. So that's a good observation.
Right. Well, this is 333, so that could be a big one. And you've got Harry. I think that Harry. The other movie I was going to talk about was Dirty Harry. It takes place in San Francisco.
Okay.
Played by Clint Eastwood. So the name Harry, that is synced up with Prince Harry, and so I think you got Robin Williams is kind of synced up with the Queen, and then Clint Eastwood is synced up with with Prince Harry. There was a video that came out a couple of years ago where Barack Obama called the Queen at Buckingham Palace, and Harry answered the phone. So you had basically those two, Prince Harry and the Queen, getting a call from Barack Obama, and they were talking about. Remember you said something about the Invictus Games. Well, boom, they were talking about boom, and it kind of surprised the royal family. I'm thinking there's some kind of a link here with those two, and it seems like San Francisco, the royalty, because I guess Harry's kind of dirty too. I mean, the royal family might think that he married a mixed race person, so maybe this aristocracy thinks he's kind of maybe he's known as Dirty Harry in their circle. Well, there's definitely a link there. With London Breed as the mayor of San Francisco, just there's too many tie-ins, and I can't predict what's going to happen, but if something seems ominous coming up here on August 11th. So I'm gonna just kind of leave it there. I need to somehow email you or text you. I've got a treasure trove of stuff that I can put down and send to you that
Yeah, do that. Gematria effectnews@gmail.com. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the information, and stay strong out there, caller. You have a good night.
And I'll make it easy. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, let's go out to Washington State.
Hey.
Hey. Uh-oh, your call might be broken up. Try that again.
There's the presidential debate, Democrats.
Yeah.
Someone I think you should probably look out for would be Tulsi Gabbard.
Sure.
She's got really good numbers. Her first name starts with a T, which is the 20th letter, and her last name starts with a G, which is from the Z, the 20th letter.
Yeah, 20th in reverse. Sure.
Right.
Caller? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Your signal's dropping in and out, but yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, the 2020, I got you.
Right.
Caller, do me a favor. Call back in. Call back in. I'm going to go to the next call, but I'll recognize your number when you call back. Your signal's too bad, so you got to call back. New York City.
Hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up, man?
Points I want to make. I'll make them quick. Did you see about the Capital One hacker is from Seattle, and she's 33 years old? And the reason she got caught because she was bragging to everybody that she hacked Capital One. Did you see that story?
I didn't know that they were from Seattle, but I saw the hacking story. Okay.
Okay. So just look into that. I got another Seattle story for you. You remember Amanda Knox, right?
Right.
She remember she been in the news the last couple of weeks that she went over to Italy for something, and now she came back talking about she needs donations for her to get married.
Huh. Interesting.
And you know those two kids from San Francisco that stabbed that police officer, and they said he just got married. So I think those two stories are connected.
Huh. I'll have to look into that.
Okay. And it's another story. I think Lady Gaga got something on neck. My friend texted to me this morning about Lady Gaga talking about that she sold her soul to the Illuminati.
Well,
and she's on video saying that she sold her soul to the Illuminati, and they said that they gave her some sickness or something. Wasn't it a couple of years ago? Wasn't she in a bathtub or something? A story about a bathtub or something a couple of years ago? With Lady Gaga in the bathroom or something in the bathtub?
I'd have to go back and look. When I think of Lady Gaga, I always think about how perfectly they synced up Super Bowl 51 with her birthday after the halftime performance. It's one of the more interesting things I've seen. So,
So check into that Lady Gaga. So she sold her soul to the Illuminati. And this one right here is the next one. Did you hear about the Google camp?
No.
The Google camp in Italy, like all the A-listers, like all the billionaires, talking about climate change and politics and human rights and stuff.
They called it the Google camp? Google camp?
Yeah, like all the big time players, or what you ever want to call like A-listers, the billionaires, got on their private jets and flew over to Italy.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
A conference about global warming. And if you look into the story, like the word, when you look at some of the, I left my notes at home. I don't got my notes on me. If you decode that story and the words in the story, the environment and the founders of Google, it's a lot of 58, 59, 74, 73 coded all in the story about the Google camp.
Oh, okay. I got to look that up. I didn't hear about it.
And what's so hypocritical about it? They talk about global warming. They said that 114 private planes flew over there for this event. So they so worried about the environment. Why all y'all flying y'all private planes separate?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And they're going to talk about politics and human rights. And another thing, online privacy. That's their main topic. Global warming, online privacy, human rights, and politics. That's their main topics. So I just want to let you know about that.
All right. Appreciate it. Good heads up. Thank you as always.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night, friend. All right. Let's try Washington again. Let's see if their line's working.
Hey, it's me again. Can you hear
better.
me?
That's better.
All right, cool. All right, yeah. So Tulsi Gabbard, 2020, her initials, but also she's from Hawaii, which is the 50th state, and America equals 50.
Right.
And then if you run President Tulsi Gabbard, it comes out to equals also 46th president, I believe.
Okay.
And yeah, so. And not just that, but she just sued Google for $50 million, which is kind of like the 50-50-50 thing.
Sure.
And then she's from the 808 area code.
Oh,
which
wow.
If you take out the 0 for the rules of Gematria, that's the Mason's favorite number, 88.
That's the Trump number. Trump's 88.
That's also Trump's number, exactly, which would be a perfect match against him in a presidential race.
That's very interesting.
So I would look at her debate tonight, see how well she does in the polls afterwards. Oh, also, she's been the most searched Google, I can't remember what the headline was, but Tulsi Gabbard was the most Googled candidate after the last debate.
I saw that.
What the headline was.
I saw that.
It also equaled something crazy, like, yeah, she's going to be the winner.
I will check it out. Yeah, great observations.
Yeah, I would check that out. Also, one of the other callers that called in about the whole Venus thing, you know, astrologically, there's some really cool stuff going on in the heavens. And with 8/11, with the Tisha B'Av Rashomon dual holiday, you've got, which is an Islamic holiday as well. You've got Venus is doing this crazy Jupiter Saturn cross. So, and they call it a golden gate astrologically.
All right, I got to look into that. That's a great observation too.
And that also happens on 8/11, 8/12.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Other caller was talking about 8/11, 9/11, 10/11, 11/11 on this particular year. Yeah, I would say numerically, those are going to be some crazy events that should happen on those days.
Okay, so again, it was Venus and Jupiter crossing, and they called it a golden gate.
Yeah, they call it a golden gate or something like that, or a golden cross.
Golden cross.
And I think this is the sign that the Vatican is supposed to be watching for the Christ consciousness to arrive on Earth, or something crazy like that as well.
Well, that's the whole thing about the Jewish Messiah arriving through the Golden Gate too. Huh.
Right, and if the Queen does die on that particular day, that would mean Virgo would then be dead, which would be her consciousness. Because the seven sisters of Pleiades are writing the beast system right now, supposedly, according to biblical scripture in this particular era.
Very interesting. Caller, I really appreciate it. Great observations. I got to keep it moving just to get these last voices in, just because we're running out of show. But I do appreciate it very much. Awesome observations.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, friend.
Right, thank you.
Great work. Okay. Let's go out to Texas. If we can just keep it to one idea, that'd be so helpful. Texas.
How's it going, Zach?
It's going well, thank you.
Called in a few times. My wife and I called in just to ask a few questions. We had, fairly new to it, getting our understanding. We were just looking at some stuff for the potential upcoming Super Bowl. I've seen an article about head coach from the Tennessee Titans his name's Mike Vrabel, that he would cut his dick off to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Or to secure a Super Bowl. Did you see the article?
I did, yes.
Okay. So we started looking into it, and so it turns out in the 4 base ciphers, he's at 98, 44, 172, 64. Somebody had told me that the septenary cipher was kind of one of the more popular ciphers that I guess the Masons use. So I added that cipher to it, and in that one, he came up at 34. in the septenary, as you know, probably the 7 lands on G and T, right?
Right.
So looking at the NFL, the only 2 teams in the NFL, if you take those only 2 7s, right? So if you take the only 2 teams that have a G or a T, you have Tennessee Titans and the Green Bay Packers. G on their helmet, T on Tennessee's helmet. When I looked up Mike Vrabel and did some research on him, it turns out from his birthday to the upcoming Super Bowl is exactly 172 days. And in the reverse ordinal cipher is 172. Also in the reduction cipher, he's 44. He's 43 now, but he turns 44 August 14th of this year, so he'll be 44 at the time of the Super Bowl.
I assume you noticed that Tennessee Titans sums to 54 as well.
I did. Yes, it does sum to 50. Yeah, that's why I'm on to them and the Packers, because they were there's only 3 teams that sum to 54 using these base ciphers in the septenary, and that was Panthers, Packers, and the Titans. But the strongest 2 that had the connection due to the septenary cipher equaling 54, I used the G and the T because they were the only 2 7s. There was no connection to Carolina, at least that I saw.
Well, the Jets equals 54, and that's always a big number with them. Bills equals 54 as well. I don't think the Bills will be in the Super Bowl. And Saints got the 54 connection as well. So there's some other 54s out there. But hey, caller, we are running out of show, and there's still people on hold, so I am going to keep it moving. But yeah, I think you could be onto something. They're definitely a team I got my eye on. So keep up the good work and call us back soon, friend. You have a good night. Yeah, yeah. Sorry to rush you guys all off the end, but it's the end of the show. And I just want to make sure we get everybody on here. Mobile, Alabama.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Yes, I've been watching your show for quite a while. Well, actually, listening to it, and it's for August the 11th. There's so much, I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like something big is going to happen. And also, I was wondering if people, do they say their name like they're trying to figure out what their name would actually come out to be? Like if you put your name into Gematria with the first, the middle, and the last, what actually comes of it? Can you figure that part out, or does it have to be like on a separate call?
Oh, so you want to give me a number and ask me if I can give you anything from that number?
Yes, like my name, and then because I tried to do it by myself, but I wasn't.
Okay, well here, I think it's more fun and meaningful if you figure it out yourself, and I bet you will find something. In case you've never heard me say this before, when I was first starting to research this, I read in this numerology book in a Borders bookstore that it revealed the cipher where you use the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. If you go to the Gematria website, it's the dark blue cipher that says full reduction. It's also known as Pythagorean Gematria. But that's the cipher you're supposed to use. And so once upon a time, I read about this and I tried it out. So I thought, well, if I'm connected to anyone in this world, I should be connected to my parents. So I put in my mom's full name, my dad's full name, and my full name. First, middle, last name. All of us have 3-part names. And I noticed that my dad's full name was 89. My full name was 89. I thought, like father, like son. My mom's full name wasn't 89. It was 62. But 89 and 62 both break down to 8 in numerology. But the thing about my mom is her birthday is September 8th, 8/9, like 89. And if you type in what's the coldest day ever recorded, it'll come up as July 21st, 1983. And the record temperature was negative 89 Celsius. That happens to be the day I was born. And then what's strange is 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. The next Fibonacci number is 144. From my dad's birthday to my mom's birthday each year is 144 days. And, there's even more to it. But the thing is, our numbers are supposed to connect us to the people in our lives. So if you look at your numbers and then you start to look at the other people in your life, see if you find some overlap in those numerical patterns, and then give us a call back and let us know what you find.
Well, you're exactly right, because my sister, she was watching on YouTube and everything, and she was saying our numbers, and that is exactly right. My sister and I, we're 7 years apart, but our numbers like go together for some odd reason with the days and everything. It's really awesome. And as well, and as far as August 11th, I really think that, I don't know, just I've been watching, and if something happens, we just, just all keep praying and just hope that the Lord will save us all, because that's what we're needing.
Sure. I appreciate the call, friend, and I'm sorry I don't have a lot of time right now, but do call me back and let me know if you discover anything. You have a good night.
Okay, you too.
All right, yeah, take care. Yeah, I hate to rush people, but we still got a few calls to get in here. Nebraska.
What's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. Have you heard of a movie called Golem?
Golem. Somebody told me to watch that on Netflix, and I actually did. I turned it on for like 3 minutes, and I saw it right away. Yeah, I need to watch this movie, but I didn't have much more time. But I saw I was getting into some Kabbalah and Hebrew, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all. Yep. And people should, as far as August 11th go, instead of focusing on the date, just like 9/11, people should focus on like significant numbers after August 11th. So, for instance, go 44 days past August 11th, and then just go 33 days out or 118 days out, because I don't think nothing's going to happen exactly on the 11th. It's just too obvious.
Most people wouldn't be too obvious, but it is possible that that's the date that everything's going to be measured with this year. So,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go check out Golden, though, Zach. You'll really enjoy that one.
I'll do that. Appreciate it, friend. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Have a good night. All right. Let's go out to Missouri.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Hey, thanks for calling.
Just real quick, I really thought it was interesting when you brought up how Drake released his last album on Kawhi Leonard's birthday.
Right.
And in the beginning, the attention was on Charlemagne, the guy's birthday was on the exact same day.
Okay.
And Drake had, in the album, Drake dissed him. And so we were all distracted, or at least the people in the rap community were all distracted by that. And it turns out that Charlemagne's real name is Leonard McKelvey. And Kawhi Leonard's name is, Kawhi Leonard. So that's kind of a connection there.
Sure.
But also, Jay-Z released his album 444 on June 30th of 2017. And then he ended up, and then this year, Kevin Durant ended up signing with the Brooklyn Nets on the exact same day.
And by the way, Kevin equals 444. Kevin's a 444. So there you go.
You said Kevin, his whole name, or just
no, just Kevin. Kevin's 444. When you use the cipher where you multiply the order times 6, Kevin's 444 because Kevin's 74. So any of those ordinal ciphers that are 74, there's a times 6 cipher that goes with it. So it's 444 as well.
A times 6 cipher. Okay, I gotta look into that. Yeah, that's pretty deep. So I thought that was, something I wouldn't have caught that unless you pointed out on the Drake album thing. So, and also, Kevin Durant signed with Roc Nation, and that's supposed to be Jay-Z's.
Right. And he has the Tupac tattoo on his body too. And rappers 444, Tupac's 444, Cross is 74, or 444, Machiavelli's 444. So yeah, there's something deeper going on there. Yeah, I'm gonna look more into that. Good observation.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, appreciate it, friend. Thank you so much.
All right, bro. Yeah.
This is why we need Gematria Studios. There has to be a team of us because see all these eyes picking up on all these things. This is how you put the pieces of the puzzle together. I only got one set of eyeballs and one set of ears. Let's go out to Maryland. Oh, why didn't that work? Let's try that again. Oh, it did work. Hey, what's up, Maryland?
I just had to say one thing. Have you ever heard of Patrice O'Neal?
I have. I covered his death. Yeah, he was murdered by the numbers.
So why was he talking about all that Illuminati stuff? He was speaking the God honest truth about the world. And this was back in 2011 before you started. And it's just if he was clearly a puppet because he was on TV and shit. Sorry for cussing.
That's okay.
Yeah, so it's why was he explaining all this stuff that's truth, but he was a puppet?
Well, I mean, there's multiple entertainers who've come out and shed some light, and maybe they're trying to clear their conscience, or maybe they're told, to do it, or maybe they're not supposed to. Maybe that's why, he died prematurely as well. So, I don't know. I mean, people have emotions and guilt and stuff, and some people are probably more willing to put out the truth than others. So I'd have to go back and look at his remarks. I didn't cover that part when I talked about his death, but I'll go back and look at that.
Yeah, it's definitely something you should watch on YouTube. He speak about, about the world and everything, and about who controls it and everything. Oh yeah, and just wanted to thank you, Zach, for the knowledge you brought on into my life. Unlike some people, which I'm lucky to have, they say people start talking to them. It's crazy because the people in my family actually put me onto your work. So it's but they unintentionally didn't know it. My brother telling me that he told me the NFL and all supposed was fake. He didn't couldn't explain it, but he just felt it. And I was no. And then eventually he got on board with it.
Right.
And then
right.
My cousin, he's been awake for a long time too. So it's just I got people I can actually talk to about. I'm on a different level with it, but it's they open to like the knowledge, you know?
Well, you're blessed. You're in a good situation, so that's good for you, man. That's awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate everything you did.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. You have a good night. And for another organic synchronicity, he's calling from Baltimore, and we just ended our call. He's been on the line 58 minutes. Baltimore equals 58. Cleveland, you get to take it off the air tonight. Cleveland, you get the last word. We got 20 seconds, so go quick.
Zach, real quick, a couple episodes ago, Rambo was talking about how the numbers 42 and 59 are not just specifically geared towards, you know, Black individuals, but it's also a female number. What's interesting about that is 95 pounds is 43 kilograms. 4-3 on the 13 moon calendar is October 20th. That's Kamala Harris's birthday.
Oh, crazy. Great observation. As always, love that 13 moon calendar. Sorry, we're out of time, everybody. We'll be back next Wednesday. And apologies to the people I didn't get to. Apologies to the people I had to rush. Hate to do that to you guys. Not enough hours in a day. Until next time. Okay. You guys, there's a part of me that just wants to stay on and just keep going, but I really need to just go chill out. Again, it's just like last Wednesday. Wednesday's the worst day of the week for me. Wednesday's the day I dread because the way I've set up my schedule on the Patreon, it's like I don't get to escape the computer. I've pretty much been sitting here since 6 this morning. So it's 9 p.m. here local time. What is that? That's 15 hours in front of the computer. So I just want to go relax a minute and try to get some decent sleep. And thank you again for everyone who participated, who called in tonight, who contributed in the chat. Thank you for everyone who gave a super chat. Very generous. If I missed your super chat tonight, I will. I always forget. It always takes me a minute to figure out how to get to the super chats. Let me see if I can go back and just look real quick in case anybody had a question that they really wanted answered. See if I can figure it out here. Okay. They're always changing up the interface format. Let's see if I can get back to that classic studio. It's easier for me to navigate. I think I found it. So Bruco, he texted 811. It will happen. Check Simpsons decoding. And I imagine what he's talking about is I remember at the beginning of the year there was a video that was viral. Can't remember the name of the YouTube channel that showed the word John Army or something like that. But they were really looking at the date January 18th. And when that was going on, I was like, that's a 118 date as well. That's kind of like August 11th. So that 118 code was coming from a Simpsons cartoon. And so Bruco says, check Simpsons decoding. And remember, the Simpsons have the cartoon about the prophecy cow too. Apocalypse Cow, I think is the name of that cartoon. And I just covered that the other night when I did the August 11th video. Liz, I will get in contact with you. I'm assuming these texts, hopefully, one of these text messages is yours. And it looks like Bruco sent 2 super chats tonight. I send you email with video I recorded for you. Okay. Probably to Gematria Effect News. I'll look for your email. Thank you very much, Bruco. Appreciate your generosity. Joseph said, no fool who wears Orion's belt. I got to think more about that comment. You must have said that at a specific moment when something was going on. Got to go back and look at that. Tim Truths. Oh, this is from last night. ae911truth.org.news. Okay. Last night he called in about that website. ae911truth.org/news. So And thank you to anyone who's ever given a super chat before. Greatly appreciate it. Very generous. Be back with next Wednesday's show, and I'm sure I'll be back before then. So, oh, one thing I could have talked about was how they raised interest rates for the first time today in 11 years. Just before I go, I meant to talk about this at the beginning of the show. I guess I'll save it for the end. The word interest equals 38 in the most pure cipher. Today's July 31st, 7 plus 31, 38. And then today's also 31/7, like 317. That's the 66th prime number. Fed equals 66. The Fed raised interest rates for the first time in 11 years. If you add 1 through 11 together, it equals 66. So this is what I mean. Everything that, that's done, and technically the Federal Reserve isn't the federal government. It's its own thing, but everything that the cabal controls is done by this Kabbalah code without exception. So if you missed the video I uploaded a few weeks ago from, what was the name of the movie? There's a recent video I uploaded where I showed a Hollywood movie clip, and the child's talking about how the password is encoded, letters are turned into numbers, and also the prime number relationship. And isn't that what we're always talking about? Letters, numbers, and prime number relationships. So anyway, we'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Have a good night, good day, depending on where you are. And I'll be back sooner than later. Till next time.